All right. Salam alaikum.
And so
It's good seeing you again.
likewise, likewise. Yeah,
Yeah.
glad we were able to make this happen in between the window that we had because I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really feeling, I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling this flow that Allah has taken me on. And, just knowing what you know about like frequency and resonance, I
Yes.
feel like, I just like if anybody else is a part of it, it's like, hey, let's all just, see where it goes.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing is actually proving the point that we've been making about frequency and energy and that kind of thing, vibration and those kinds of things. This is really proving the point that these things are real.
Hmm.
In fact, they constitute what's true reality from what is pretend reality.
Hmm.
You know, energy rules the world.
Yes, it does.
And everything is composed of energy. So you can't get around it.
Not at all.
No. Best thing we can learn to do is manage it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
We
Yeah,
can't
I think
conquer
it's
it.
hmm
We can
hmm
only
I
learn to manage it. Yeah.
I think it's more important than what we call time management even now.
Hmm.
Because even like our perception of time is like limited. We think about time management, it's like, oh, we have this amount of time, but it's like, but even those are like arbitrary numbers and metrics that we
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
to make sense of the world that we're in. But
Yeah.
energy, on another hand, that's completely different. Like where
Yeah.
we're putting our attention, as you've taught as well.
Yes. We live in a world of illusion.
Hmm.
The Quran calls it gurur.
Hmm.
Allah says the entire world is a world of gurur. That's illusion.
Hmm. Hmm. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So there's a lot to manage in this world we live in. We were born into the world so many years ago, and we've been given this line that life is a series of events, beginning with your birthday and ending with your death day.
Hmm.
And everything in between is arbitrary,
Hmm.
when in fact it's the exact opposite. Everything is pre planned,
Hmm.
everything is constantly modified and updated by the source creator of all.
Hmm.
So no one can predict your life and say this is going to happen to you. That's why we don't
Hmm.
believe in soothsayers and
Hmm.
diviners and people to tell your future and lock it all into one thing. No, we're existing on
Hmm.
multiple levels of time, if we want to call it
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
multiple layers of what we believe to be reality. And
Hmm.
as I said in a class not that long ago, there are words that have been left out intentionally, left out from the English language, so that you would never ever have a chance to come into the trueness of what we're actually participating in as creation. One of those
Hmm.
words is the word reality.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, when you see re on the beginning of an English word, it means it's being done over again.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
reality is simply ality being done over again, but because they never teach us what ality means, we'll never have a clue. Isn't that a slick trick?
Yeah. It's so funny, instructor, because when I kind of got to this point, I wasn't really going deep into like the spiritual journey, but I feel like Allah was kind of giving me like this nudge when I was looking into the dictionary because I kept hearing people say, you gotta be realistic and be in reality and just you gotta do things that are real. And I said, you know what? What actually is the definition of real? And I looked and I found the definition of real, and it was like living in the state of actuality. And I'm thinking, okay, what is actuality then? And it's like, okay, in a state that is actual. Okay, but what does actual mean?
Right.
Oh, being in reality. I'm thinking, and here we go
Yeah,
again.
no, it's a
It's
circular argument,
circles.
circular definitions and meanings
Yeah.
for things, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
thinking, so nobody, so everybody's going around saying, be realistic. You got to
yeah.
be realistic, like live in reality, but nobody's telling me what it means.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah. And then it's even deeper. I know you and Brother Mahir, y'all talking about the Matrix. And even with like Morpheus was saying, like, but if we define reality by our senses, then reality just means signals interpreted by the brain, which is
Yes,
again limited.
yes, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. But this whole thing can actually be figured out once we get to the nitty-gritty of what language is and what
Hmm.
language does.
Hmm.
Because once you understand language from its foundation, which is sounds, not just letters,
Hmm.
sounds. I can speak a letter to you, TLS. That really tells you nothing unless you know what those sounds mean. You
Hmm.
can always say that the letter means what you want it to mean. And if people are not aware of how letters were originally formulated, they'll have no clue because humans weren't born speaking letters.
Hmm.
5,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, whenever, there were many societies on earth that never spoke a formal language.
Hmm.
So language is not primary. We call it, we say your primary language is what? You know,
Yeah,
we,
like English
we
or
we do that. Yeah, but creation has
true.
no idea what you're talking about when you
It's
say
true.
primary language. And then
Hmm.
we put values on languages that we gravitate towards, so we think English is the utmost language, the top language. The Muslims think that
Hmm.
Arabic is the primo, the language of
Hmm.
the Quran, and the
Hmm.
Greeks think it's the Greek, and the Hebrews obviously think it's the Hebrew because it's a language that their particular scripture came in. So people are assigning these values to language without understanding what language is and where it came from.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I
Wow.
asked the question to people who are that dug in, which came first, formal language or sounds?
Hmm.
We just took
Hmm.
the first big dip into what will become a deep dive tonight. Ah, the first dip, the
True.
toe in the water was what I just asked you. Which
Hmm.
came first, the
Hmm.
formalizing of language or sounds?
Hmm.
See, if you close your eyes and listen, there's sound,
Hmm.
but you didn't create it.
Hmm.
There's a hum, but we didn't create it. They like to call that quiet. It's not really quiet. There's a sound,
Hmm. That is true.
but we're so trained to listen to sounds and music and words and that kind of thing that we have no idea that this entire creation is first and foremost a creation of sounds.
Hmm.
And those sounds are being instigated through positionings in the mouth.
Hmm.
And the sound before we began to identify cogent sounds, meaning identifiable sounds that mean something to us, before we really began to identify that this sound means this,
Hmm.
the original sounds that we were hearing on the most part were vowels.
Hmm.
In English, we would say A, E, I, O, U. They're open
Hmm.
mouthed sounds.
Hmm.
Although those are not the only sounds in the world as vowels, there are actually seven major vowels that
Hmm.
exist in this universe.
Hmm.
Seven. And
Wow.
Allah in the Quran, he uses the number seven. I was going to say often, but he refers to seven at one point as the seven oft repeated.
Hmm.
The people who
Hmm.
taught us Islam said that it's the seven oft repeated verses. There's no word verses in there.
Hmm.
It only says the seven often repeated.
Hmm.
And then he leaves the human brain to figure out what's being repeated.
Hmm. I was gonna ask if it was like the seven repeated like ayats and they just interpret that as verses.
No, that's what they do because they have to control your deen. They
Hmm.
have to be the ones to decide how far you go in your learning experience.
Hmm.
But I always say that if Allah describes Al Quran itself as if all of the oceans were ink and all of the trees were pens times seven, there's that seven
Hmm.
again. Never would you be able to exhaust the kalima of that Allah has placed in this kitab, in this book. You'll never be able to exhaust what's in this book. So could it really be referring to a physical book of 144 chapters, as they like to call it?
Hmm. Hmm.
No. What you have in your hands as Al Quran is really just the table of contents for a
Yeah.
book that it spans the entire universe, or universe is whatever they
Hmm.
eventually wind up calling this. They say there are thousands, some say millions of universes that have
Hmm.
yet to be discovered in total.
Hmm.
But they do know that it's not just one thing.
Hmm.
We have worlds inside of us that have yet to be explored.
That's a rabbit hole.
Well, how does Allah begin the Quran if we're beginning from Al-Fatiha? What's the first couple of lines there?
There's a couple of lines. See, praise be to Allah, cherish and sustain of all systems of knowledge.
Stop right there.
Um,
Stop right there.
mhm.
Say what you just said again.
All right, cherish and sustain of all systems of knowledge.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What in the world is that? A system of knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they
My,
translate that as all the worlds.
all the worlds. Hmm.
So your worlds are not there in Pluto and Mercury and Jupiter. Your worlds are inside and they're
Hmm.
being reflected outside. And every time you find something new outside, you should learn to apply it to what Allah has created inside.
Hmm.
Inside where? Inside of you. Allah says that He created ayat, right? In the
Hmm.
skies, in the earth, and
And you.
in you. He said, but
Hmm.
most people go on heedless, paying it no mind whatsoever. So he
Hmm.
tells you in the Quran that you're wasting your time, your money, and space travel trying to go up there. Figure out what that's about. Whatever that is about, he already put a similitude in you.
Hmm.
So there's a Mercury similitude in you. There's a Venus. There's a
Hmm.
Saturn. We call him Satan, but he's in there. He's in there too.
Yeah, I heard that's a rabbit hole too, the Saturn Satan connection. But
There's a definite connection. That's where they got the
yeah,
word.
yeah.
You
Hmm.
understand? Allah gave it to us as shaitan because there's another message in the way those consonants are separated in the Quran.
Hmm.
The shay and the nitan.
Hmm.
Because the world gave us the devil. They gave us
Hmm.
D, the letter D, and then evil. That's how they gave it to
Yeah.
us.
Hmm.
But the word Satan actually derives from Saturn.
Hmm.
But Allah did
Interesting.
not castigate any of his creation unnecessarily. by associating it with something that they're calling naturally evil, Satan.
Hmm.
No, Allah said shaitan. Those are actually words in Arabic. Shay
Hmm.
means each and everything, no matter how small.
Hmm.
And thon, the tau, connected to the nun as consonants,
Hmm.
that's the that those are the same consonants that Allah uses when He speaks about the human being being created min teen, from malleable clay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So these are puzzle pieces that I'm giving you tonight.
Yeah. One thing that came to mind is like probably like the ability for it to like adapt. And I think about like clay and how you can form it in different ways. So something in that is within what we call
Absolutely.
shaitan. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it
And
comes in
isn't that
different
true?
forms.
Isn't
Hmm.
that true for human beings?
Yes, it is.
Human beings come in all kinds of shapes and colors, personalities, phenotypes,
Hmm.
mentalities, emotionalities, all of these things.
Hmm.
Because the human personality is divided into various components. And when that component learns to give itself to the source creator as its maker, as its ruler, and discipline itself enough to not give it to any nefarious movement in
Hmm.
him, and the nefarious satanic movement is in him. It
Hmm.
ain't out there. I always say this, get rid of every human being on earth if you have that kind of power. And the day you do that, that's the day that evil will disappear because creation itself is not evil. I don't know why they keep
Hmm.
talking about the end of the world as though Allah's going to blow up the earth and blow up Jupiter and blow up Mercury and that's the end of the world. What in the world did creation do to Allah that he has to eliminate the entire thing
Hmm.
because he wants to teach you a lesson? What
Hmm.
kind of Allah is that? He's got to get rid of
Hmm.
everything? Allah only gets rid of those things that fall out of line with with obedience to him. What out there
Hmm.
is being disobedient?
Hmm.
Not even a falling star. That's in line with his will and purpose to show
Hmm.
you a sign of what happens when you get too big headed. As a star, as a star, yeah. Shows you what
Yeah.
happens. It falls out of the system and it perishes. That's all the
Hmm.
Kaaba stone, that's all the black stone is. A fallen
Hmm.
star. Why you want to worship a fallen star? In the Bible, the fallen star is called Iblis. In Quran, pardon me. In the Bible, he's called Lucifer,
Hmm.
the star that somebody beheld falling from heaven.
Hmm.
Lucifer.
Hmm.
And they call all of these people coming up out of Hollywood. What do they call them? Stars.
Hmm. Man.
It doesn't mean that stars are evil. It means that they are now outside of the system
Hmm.
of knowledge created for them by their source creator.
Hmm.
They're operating outside of the flow that
Hmm.
guarantees them success. And for the star, that flow is represented by obedience to law, to a law.
Hmm.
See, all of these stars are obedient. The reason why they still exist as galaxies is because they're being obedient, perfectly obedient to a system of knowledge or systems of know-how
Hmm.
that they have been agreeing with and agreeable to.
Hmm.
When your ability to follow guidance is That discipline, because it's talking about humans now. Don't just think it's talking about what's happening out in, like I said,
Hmm.
no, whatever's in the Quran, the direct references to how we operate. So
Hmm.
we are the stars in the galaxy that I'm describing right now. And we can become falling stars, losing our luster, as the Quran says, when the stars fall, losing their luster.
Hmm.
Meaning it means to lose your brilliance. It's talking about human life. Where is the brilliance in our day and time? Do we see
Hmm.
it being manifest in our children? Where are the Einsteins and the Teslas? And I'm just using them because those are the ones they keep telling us about. There are many
Hmm.
brilliant people who have existed in our history, but where are
Hmm.
they? They are falling stars and fallen stars. But the English word star is consonantally connected to the Quranic word sirat.
Hmm.
You apply what's called metathesis. That means the reordering of a letter or two. As long as the letter is in the sequence of letters that make up that word, it's going to have a related meaning. It won't mean exactly the same thing because they're not in
Hmm.
exactly the same order. They're not in the
Hmm.
order of STR, like star is. They're in the order
Hmm.
of SRT.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sirat.
Hmm. Kind of like the DNA, like they could be related, but
Yes,
it's not the
indeed.
same. Yeah.
That's right. It will be related if it has the same genetic makeup. The
Hmm.
order is what determines whether it's your sibling or not, as opposed to your cousin or your Uncle Bobo or somebody like that. They're not going to have exactly the same genetic order.
Hmm.
Make sense? Yeah.
Hmm.
All
Definitely.
right. So we're talking about letter, I called it letter genetics. You'll probably hear about that soon, somewhere in the scientific world of thinkers. Letter genetics. They already told you that you got four sequences of letters that make up your genes, your
It's true.
DNA,
Hmm.
ACTG, I think they call it, that make up
Hmm.
your genetic code. They already told you that, so that they gave you too much information when they told you that.
Hmm.
It shows you how important letters are in the human scheme.
Hmm.
Because if you disturb that order, you might have thought you were going to get a human child and you could get a freak
Hmm.
by finagling with one letter. You'll have
Hmm.
Sasquatch on your hands. Anyway, that was our intro. Yes, sir. All right. So we're going to get busy breaking down or continuing the breakdown of the word Khalifa
Hmm.
in the phrase Khalifa fil ard. And
Hmm.
hopefully enough of our listeners are familiar with that term. And by the way, we've been getting a lot of great feedback from the first video. I don't know if you read the
Awesome.
comments. Yeah,
I saw
but
some of them.
we've been getting a lot of great feedback. Sometimes I get the feedback through email, not necessarily through the comments, because
Hmm.
people know that the comments once the video is out, I don't normally go back and read the comments, that are made weeks after, but
Hmm.
I do read if people will email me their comments, and I'll make sure that they have the email address at the end of this presentation. Then I'll be
Hmm.
more than happy to even give them a lengthy answer if their question deserves it.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, I'm not just looking for that was a great talk.
Hmm.
You did it again, instructor. That's all nice. But that's not what I'm necessarily looking for. I'm looking for people who are really listening and can attempt to make a cogent contribution to the conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, I know the last one definitely helped me as far as like thinking really deep as to like what is that force that's lying dormant within myself that, I probably haven't even completely stepped into. Like,
No,
and where
none of
my,
us have.
yeah. So
None of
I've
us
been
have.
thinking
The
deep.
world is just getting started, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world keeps revolving and it keeps coming in and out of reality.
hmm
There are always new realities that are being created all of the time.
hmm
But the first of those realities have to be connected to the ality, which again, they didn't teach us the meaning of the ality. But these words are connected to signals that Allah has placed within the Quran, language signals. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily an Arabic word he connected it to, but it's an Arabic sound. That's why we started out this conversation talking about the importance of sound, especially as that sound relates to the human psyche.
hmm
Your human psyche hears sounds before it sees things.
hmm
Even if the baby has his eyes wide open when he's born, he's not seeing you.
hmm
He's seeing a blur, and he's not even seeing in full color.
hmm
You want to challenge your doctor? Ask him those kinds of questions, or just look it up. Look it up. How do we see? Do babies see in color? See, that's the homework of the people who are listening to us. I don't want any more elementary school responses anymore. They do nothing for me. I want to do something for you. So do some homework.
hmm Doesn't that
When
also
do
go to,
mhm,
I just remember when we were talking about the cerebellum, like,
mhm.
wasn't there something about a seeing from the back of the brain? And I can't remember if it was the cerebellum too, but something about how the light comes and reflects.
Yeah, the light comes into
I
the
don't know.
eye and it goes straight to the back, like we used to do on the bus. They used to send us to the back of the bus. Well, that was a kind of fitful move there, and they didn't know it, because when light comes in, it goes straight to the back of the brain, and
hmm
it goes that way in coordination with an image that is actually upside down as we think about upside down.
hmm
The image is upside down until it hits the back of the eye, the back of the retina, and then it
hmm
adjusts itself and turn almost like what's happening in the womb with a newborn baby.
hmm
That baby is for 8 months, 7, 8 months, sitting up in the mother's belly. But when it's time to be born, that baby does a flip upside down. If you come out any other way, they call it breached, and it represents a level of danger to the child if he doesn't flip upside down and come out head first. These are signals, these are signs, these are ayat
hmm
from Allah that He wants us to
hmm
think about. You want to be born in this world, meaning you want to be born into enlightenment. You want to be born into novelty, creating new things on this planet. You have to come out head first. Not literally. Come out
hmm
anyway. They can cut you out.
Yeah.
You have C-section. It doesn't mean
hmm
literally all of the time. It's speaking figuratively and theoretically. You have to be born head first. That's why they call that grade before kindergarten Head Start. You have to come out here wanting a head start by using your head.
Hmm.
In the womb, we're using the head to burrow. No baby's coming out like this. The baby's
Hmm.
coming out head then shoulders,
Hmm.
even if he needs assistance to do it, which he doesn't. If they would just follow the fitra-based pattern for childbirth, the baby would practically be born on its own if the woman was
Hmm.
stooping down and allowing gravity to assist the baby.
I've been hearing
But
about
this
that lately too.
this crazy cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs world, they have children being born against the gravity. So the doctor can
Mhm.
be the hero of the story. Yes, I
Hmm.
pulled that child out from imminent danger. He would have died had we left him in the canal, you know.
That's
But
funny.
these people just don't want to tell you that much of their science is still primitive.
Hmm.
Medical science only advanced, truly advanced in the last few decades, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
You're talking about people who,
Oh
if you
yeah.
sneezed, if you were to sneeze, they'd think there was a demon inside of you.
Yeah.
That's not too long ago
Oh.
that they were thinking that in medical Western science.
Hmm.
There must be a demon in him.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And it's,
And it was like
yeah,
fairly like recently, I think it was like what, late 1800s, there was this one scientist who told folks, when we're birthing a child, we should probably wash your hands. They thought the man was crazy and insane for suggesting that.
that's right.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I had no idea. Like,
Listen,
we just think it's common courtesy now.
my wife has told me many stories about what doctors do and still do to this day. Do you know they still have the signs up? If you don't believe it, go to your doctor's office and go in the bathroom and look at the signs that are on the wall that say,
Hmm.
be sure to wash your hands after using. Those are not for the patients. Those
Hmm.
signs are for the medical staff.
Hmm.
And you've seen it yourself. You go into a movie theater and certain folks
Hmm.
will get finished using number one or two and walk out without washing their hands. In
Hmm.
2025, they do that
Hmm.
because there are people who are still caught up in their primitive urges that haven't been educated out of those urges yet. The whole world is going through this same dilemma.
Hmm.
People are pretending to be civilized because they have a suit and tie and a dress on and a bow in their hair. They're pretending to be ultimately civilized society people, but in reality, their essence, in terms of where their urges are on the scale of civilized to uncivilized,
Hmm.
their urges are still primitive, many of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And they have a lot to learn from the world that has been here and done that and got the t-shirt to prove it. But they don't want
Hmm.
to admit that they don't know, so they don't have to come to people who look like you and me to learn it.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not trying to be so-called racial. I'm just being realistic.
Hmm.
What's holding the world back right now is the lack of acknowledgement of African and Asian scientists who have been there, done that, and got the t-shirt to prove it.
Hmm.
But because he looks like this, they don't want to listen to him. They somehow think he can't possibly know what I know. I'm from the European aristocracy, for goodness sake.
Hmm.
So we're not. So just keep not listening to us. Just keep doing that. So Allah says,
Hmm.
strive as in a race towards all that is higher.
Hmm.
And see, because they don't know what higher means, and I mean many of the Arabs don't know what higher means. They say good. It doesn't just mean good.
Hmm.
It means good to the extent that it is beneficial to human progress and evolution.
Hmm.
You would just call it the higher life, higher, the higher life. It has to be useful and contributing to the higher life that
Hmm.
humans were created to exist upon.
Hmm. Collective.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
Allah says in the Quran that He is higher and He only accepts that which is higher. What a powerful statement.
Hmm.
That means Allah hasn't created anything that does not contribute towards human evolution and progress.
Hmm.
Even what we're calling evil is contributing to that. Nothing can escape Allah's design,
Hmm.
but He has created certain things that if it don't work out technically, if it doesn't work out philosophically and theoretically, He sends it to the scrapyard. Humans do that,
Hmm.
even if it's a Tesla. and it comes out and
Hmm.
there's a piece missing or a piece that is malfunctioning somewhere in the system, and well, like the falling star we were talking about. It's
Hmm.
not useful in this system anymore, so we scrap it. Well, that's what Allah does, but that's a part of His khayr system,
Mm.
the system of keeping
Makes
everything
sense.
beneficial. Because even those people who are working in the scrap yards, they use that material for something else.
Hmm.
The poorest of Africans
True.
do that. They don't have the
Hmm.
technology, but they see something's not working or the rubber from the tires are not useful anymore for cars. They shape that into something else useful.
Hmm.
The cans that we throw away, you know how we do.
Hmm. Definitely.
Everything is useful in its context, in its place.
It's true.
We have to be the ones to determine what our place actually is. We think it's to be a basketball star. That's why we're failing. We think it's to be a music star
Hmm.
when all of those same stars are falling all around you.
Hmm.
This is powerful, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's dig in.
Hmm.
We were talking about the idea of the Khalifa fil ard, meaning the Khalifa that Allah created in the earth, not on the earth, in the earth.
Hmm.
Not Khalifa ala al-ard, on the earth. Khalifa fi al, in the ard, earth. So let's
Hmm.
bounce around a couple of concepts that you're going to find absolutely fascinating if you're anything like me, and I know you are. So let's start with this. And we're going to be doing quite a few comparisons of the English language with the language of the Quran, because that's where they
Hmm.
got most of their concepts from the English language. They don't want to tell you that.
Hmm.
They have more in sync concepts when you compare the English language to the Arabic language. They have more concepts that agree than they do when you compare the Arabic Fitra based language with a language like Urdu, which sounds similar to
Hmm.
Arabic. But there are more similarities between English and true Arabic. When I say true Arabic, I mean the Quranic based logic that Allah clocked into that language. There's
Hmm.
more similarities between English and Arabic because, when you steal, you're a diamond baron or trying to steal diamonds and develop your wealth based on stolen diamonds. You don't want to steal glass. You want to steal diamonds and the best cut
Hmm.
diamonds.
Hmm.
If you're a bank robber, you don't want to steal monopoly money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You want to steal money. If you can find the money that still has the gold seal on it, man, this is going to be worth a lot when whatever, when the system changes back to gold, this is going. So you're looking for the
Hmm.
best, even when you're stealing.
Hmm.
When they brought slaves here for labor, they brought the best slaves. Excuse me for using the term slave. No human being is born a slave. But
Hmm.
just for people who need to know that as a concept,
Hmm.
they brought the best. They tested them out at the shore.
Hmm.
Muscle man, muscle mass. How much could you lift? How many
Hmm.
babies can these men make?
Yeah.
How quickly can they make them? Because we need more slaves. So they
Hmm.
want the best, even in the world of evil.
Hmm.
You follow?
Yeah. I
Hmm.
was I was wondering, like, are there even more similarities in between Quranic Arabic and Hebrew and Aramaic? that came
Hmm.
before it.
Yes, yes, those are all sister languages. Sure, there is.
Hmm.
Yeah. The only thing that happened is that when the Quran was being revealed, the only difference is that what the Quran was giving us as language was being connected by Allah Himself as a frequency to original frequencies in the universe, not
Hmm.
invented frequencies, to
Hmm.
original frequencies. And that's why some people like to say, well, Arabic must have been the first language. Well, they're right and they're not right at the same time because they're still thinking school taught Arabic.
Hmm.
No, no, it's talking about the rate of frequency that a language carries. So it goes even beyond the language per se.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is that when we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that's a sentence from a particular language that we call Arabic.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that if I said that same phrase in a different language from a different part of the world, that it doesn't have that same gravity as far as meaning goes. I
Hmm.
could use another language and come up with more heft in that language than the one that you gave me, thinking you were speaking the Quran. The Quran is represented by the frequency, not by the letter system of a particular language.
Hmm.
Does that frequency move you? Does that frequency suggest that there's deeper meaning here? There are quite a few ancient languages on this planet that reflect that level of intellectual curiosity when you hear it.
Hmm.
And we can't say when these languages began.
Hmm.
A lot of confusion around the purpose of Arabic.
Oh yeah.
A lot of confusion. The word is Arabia. That's the first lesson, not Arabic.
Hmm.
Whenever you see that heavy K sound at the end of a word, it's Greek. It's not Arabic. I'm still
Hmm.
saying Arabic because that's what we think to say. Yeah.
Hmm.
Other letters, when you hear S at the end, it's from, we can tell different languages by how they end. So when they
Hmm.
told us that it was Arabic, that's because the Greeks had already heavily influenced that language. And that
Hmm.
K sound, that ka, means something. Doesn't that sound substantially different than Arabia? Yeah,
Hmm.
Arabic. They couldn't find a close approximation. Approximation?
Hmm.
No,
Wow.
because your brain is registering sounds. And K sound is a closed sound because the letter itself, K, means the closed hand.
Hmm.
It means what is in the palm of your hand. You remember in the Quran, Allah asked Musa, He said, what is that in your right hand? Oh, Musa. We think
Hmm.
he was just talking to talk. No, he was giving you instructions into determining the meanings of these letters that are given in this very special presentation called Arabia. And it's never just Arabia, it's usually Arabia Mubin. Just like
Hmm.
Khalifa in the context we're discussing it is not just Khalifa, it's Khalifa fil Ard. That's a part of his logic,
Hmm.
understanding context and not just content.
Yeah, that's huge.
Ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, let's
Hmm.
continue.
Yeah.
So this Khalifa, which is a word that is in the masculine gender,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell by the soft ending, the AH ending, Khalifa,
Mm-hmm.
A ending or AH. You can tell by that that it's in the feminine gender. It doesn't mean that the Khalifa is a female. That's biology.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking language
Mm-hmm.
and meanings for words.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the ways of determining a feminine pronoun or a feminine, other than that word that we're using, one of the words of determining that is how that word ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's how most men determine a female.
Hmm.
They check out her ends. She comes
Yeah.
with flat chested. He said, "Is that a man?" Or yeah, as soon as she passes, he'll, oh, okay, yeah, that's her. That's a joke.
I feel it.
Humor keeps you human.
Yeah.
So Khalifa fil ard, and see, ard is also a feminine word, but it doesn't end with an H or AH.
Mm-hmm.
You have to already know that to know that the word for earth is feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the English word earth comes out of the Arabic word ard, earth. The TH and the D are interchangeable in languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can definitely hear it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even the word, even the word Urdu is the same word.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I know you revealed in one lecture how Earth is an anagram for heart, which I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
I was
Break
like,
that down
wow.
for me since you remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically like what I said. Like you take the letters Earth and you scramble them and you get heart. You just
Hmm.
you anagram them and
Yeah. That system, for those who like to study, is called metathesis. Metathesis. That's when you take a group of letters out of a word, like we did with star, STAR. And when you metathesize them, you simply rearrange the order of the letters. So instead of star, you end up with sirat. It's the same letters, same sounds, but different arrangement. It's called
mm,
metathesizing words.
mm,
And all languages contain that science.
mm,
When you know that, then look at how exponential your vocabulary potentially can become, because now you're not stopping at sirat, SIRAT. Now you know I can go to star. Now you know I can go to the word desire,
mm,
because the letters S, right?
mm,
D in desire,
mm,
R,
mm,
desire. There's an S in star. There's an R in star. And the
mm,
T in star is a metathesis of D.
mm, dental letters.
It's an interchangeable letter. So
Mm,
desire, and it doesn't matter what order it is. It could be DSR or SIR or SRT, doesn't matter. That's the metathesis
mm,
part of it. See?
mm,
But once I know that, my vocabulary explodes after that. Wow.
mm,
Man, I used to spend nights just researching interchangeable consonants.
mm,
Literally, I would stay up nights. I still will do that if I think I really got something, but I think I've explored enough of it so that it comes to me automatically now.
mm,
That's how I want you to be. All of you people who are learning Nunetics, this is how I want you to be. I want you to be able to look at a word and just automatically make the connections. And the only way you're going to do that is if you pay full attention and study for real. You can't
mm.
fake the funk on this one. You can't fake like you studied. Or you can't do one or two sessions and then give up. No, you got to find you a study buddy, somebody who's interested in Nunetics like you are, and go to work.
Hmm.
Pay all your bills first. Go to work, pay your bills, because this is going to take some time. But then when you get home, get to work.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing about this is that no group on earth, no ethnic group on earth has a jump on any other ethnic group.
Hmm.
Where's the jump when everybody's just speaking sounds, making sounds,
Hmm.
making sounds that you're going to make in your language, whether you're speaking Urdu, Spanish, French, it doesn't matter. You're using the exact same consonants.
Hmm.
T, T,
True.
T, D, 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 S, 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 Z, Z, Z. It's the same. No matter what language you're speaking, you're using the
Mhm.
same consonantal sounds because life in the intellect is mostly concerned with sounds.
Mhm.
And it's the intellect, once the intellect entered the linguistic picture, it began to make these artificial differentiations in letters, in language, in words, in how, in what do you call it when they in grammar, in uh, all of these differences that make up language.
Mhm.
So I say to
Hmm.
my Arabic brothers and sisters who like to really hold Arabic up as the premier language, they call it lingua franca, the premier language of all languages. Then I say, well, you're doing a disservice to that language because that language really just got here as a spoken language and definitely as a written language not longer than 4,000 years ago. So
Hmm.
Hebrew already has you beat if you're just looking at when it came here, when it got here.
Hmm.
Other languages out of Asia and off of Africa, the language has been here for thousands of years.
Hmm.
How long the ancient Egyptians been speaking language?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You see what I'm saying? So we
Mhm.
fool ourselves into believing we got some kind of jump on the rest of the world because of the language. And it's not because of the language, it's because of the frequencies that are being used.
Hmm.
Because it takes a supreme source creator to put the sentence together. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We
Hmm.
can't do that. We would not have, like I said, if humans were doing it, they would have said Rabbil Awalim,
Hmm.
Lord of all the worlds. That's what a human would have said. He would have never said Rab of the Alameen because it would have had nothing to do with his literal world.
Hmm.
See, it would have had nothing to do with food on the table.
Hmm.
Nothing. It has to do with knowledge. You hear it in the word. Rabbil alamin, ilma, ilma. It has to do with knowledge, science.
Mhm. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah. Biology, electromagnetism, quantum
Yes,
mechanics, all of it.
yes, all the way into the metaphysics of language or
Mhm.
expressions. So when the
Mhm.
baby is born, Tariq, we don't have to teach that child to cry.
Mhm.
Now, when that child cries, those are sounds
Mhm.
that humans didn't teach that baby.
Mhm.
The best we can do is interpret what the baby is trying to say.
Mhm.
And that's where you need mothers because mothers know the difference between cries.
Mhm.
They know
Very
the difference
well.
between a stressful cry. I
Mhm.
had 8 children, I know. Back of my hand, I know this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. So, hey,
Yeah.
you have to know the difference because you'll come running with a diaper and the baby's just hungry.
Yep.
just because you heard it cry. I used to do that. I still haven't figured it out, which cry is which. But my
Mm,
wife knows, the mother of my children, she knew.
yeah, definitely my mother. We're at a restaurant and she hears one and she's like, "Oh, that's the I wet myself cry." And I'm
There
like,
you
"How do
go.
you know that?"
Yes. Yeah.
That's in our future.
It's innate. It's mother wit. It's all of that
Yeah.
that they apply mother to. Mother nature. Mother, she's got,
Hmm.
the female has got teachers teaching her, man, that we don't have. And the
Hmm.
male is in no ways like the female, Allah says in the Quran.
Hmm.
The dhakar is in no ways like the untha.
Hmm.
She's got, hey, if Allah can tell the male that he has a degree of superiority over the female, why they get so bent out of shape when we say that the female also has a degree of superiority over the male?
Hmm. Good point.
They get bent out of shape. No, brother, we can't say that, that the female, no, the male actually, he don't want to say it, but the male actually has a superior role over the female. What says who?
Who says who? Exactly.
Nature doesn't say that.
Mm-mm.
Nature almost erases the male contribution. Nature says there's a million of you that were just shot into the womb of this woman, and only one's gonna make it. That doesn't sound like superior creation to me. Allah
Mm-mm.
said, I'm gonna wipe out all of you millions of sperm except for this one, or if I want to twin these two, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like you have a superior jump on women?
Mm-hmm.
See, if we don't start teaching our children like this, they're gonna be lost forever.
Oh yeah. Oh
We're
yeah.
already devaluating them to the point where they think they're just there butting their titties, excuse the expression. That's what a lot of our young girls think now.
It's
Even the
programming.
Muslims, even the
It's
Muslims.
programming.
I watched the young female children, my wife, and I said, listen, look, see how that young lady right there? I said, do you see how she's wearing her sweater? She's wearing it. She's what, 12 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And then we watch our grandchildren. That we don't let them do that though. We check them right away. We go to their
Mm-hmm.
school or we see them playing out in the yard and they don't know we're looking at them and they got their sweater halfway off their shoulders. We know that they're showing their development.
Mm-hmm.
We know what she's saying to the girls and the boys. I'm starting to become a woman and I need to show you. So she comes out with her sweater half off of her back. And we think just because her head is tied up in a khimar that she's good. She's good to go. She's good to go, but she might be going with somebody that you don't care for her to be off with
Mm-hmm.
because you're not paying attention. If any of you women out there who are listening to this, you sisters, you young girls, and all of that, if you're vibing with what I'm saying to you right now, you need to drop me a little note in the comments section. I'd like to share your thoughts, especially with these other young girls,
Mm-hmm.
because our girls are getting away from us.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting away from us. But we have a remedy for that, which we'll discuss on a different day. Now, yes, Khalifa is in the earth. And as we said, earth is what's called an anagram, as you mentioned, for the word heart. Same letters, just rearranged, metaphysized.
Mm-hmm.
Earth. And so that means that whoever thought of that in the invention of the English language, whoever thought to just rearrange the first letter, take the H off of the front and put it on the back, and we got earth. And that's what we want to make a comparison between the earth and the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever thought of that? Genius. So it says, stop waiting on some Arab sheikh to give you all of the truth and nothing but the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's here through many incarnations when it comes to language, human expression. So now you have to put your scientific brain on and start asking yourself the question, how many different things does the earth do?
Ooh.
Yeah, you just grab two or three of them out of the ether and tell me the major
Um,
things.
well, right off the top, rotation and like revolution, those are the two. And then just randomly, I mean, it also like tilts on the axis, which they say causes seasons. That's another.
Yeah.
And another thing that I recently learned is it has an electromagnetic field to block like solar flares or something like that.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
how you get the northern lights, aurora borealis, and all that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. And that's
those are
just
things
for
I've
people.
thought about.
That's for people who are a little deeper into the science of
Hmm.
geology, right? They have to be a little bit deeper to even know that because you can't see that from Earth.
Hmm.
That's why there are so many arguments now about flat Earth versus, round ball in the middle of nowhere Earth. There are a lot of arguments about that now because you can't
Yeah.
see it from where you are. You have to have scientific apparatus to be able to determine rotation and so forth. But just with your own senses, just with what Allah gave you without any extraneous, nothing peeking into the universe or whatever, you basically know what the earth tells you, not what space tells you
Hmm.
about earth. Because great grandma put a seed in the ground and saw it come up and grow, and she saw in the future of that seed, it became a plant, and that plant became dinner.
Hmm.
You don't need Einstein to explain that to her,
Hmm.
right? Right. So the earth is responsible for vegetation,
Hmm.
responsible for growing all of the living things that earth occupies or that
Hmm.
occupy earth, all of them, from the bug to the horse, it doesn't matter, to the plant, the tree, the earth produced it. And Allah tells us that very clearly in the Quran. These are things that are produced out of the ard.
Hmm.
Now, what's causing that growth? What's causing that growth is the same thing that causes growth in the human being. Because all things out here, as we said earlier, is just a reflection of what Allah created inside of you.
Hmm.
So, what is this property? If we're relating it to what is inside of you that Allah created to grow, like
Hmm.
plants grow, as He says about us. He created the
Oh
human
yeah.
being to grow nabata, like plants grow. All right. So what's in
Hmm.
you?
Literally too. If you look at like roots, you look at your
Hmm.
nervous system and you see how they're forming.
There you go.
Yeah.
You don't even need a teacher for that. You just have to see a picture of what's inside of you. you know,
Hmm.
and you say, oh, wait, this looks like that. This looks like broccoli. You know how to tell me broccoli is good for that part of the body?
Hmm. Oh yeah, doctrine of signatures. Yeah, I was talking to
Yeah,
somebody about that. Yeah, ginger looks like a lung, really good for
yeah.
respiratory health.
Kidney beans,
Yeah,
kidneys look like kidney beans. I don't need
yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Kildare to tell me about it, or Marcus Welby, MD, to tell me that this is good for that. Allah taught me that.
Hmm.
And he did it without a Quran.
Hmm.
The Quran Allah wants you to look at is the Quran called creation itself. If all of the trees were pens and all of the oceans were ink times seven, never could you exhaust what's called the kalima. See, we thought kalima was shahada.
Hmm.
No, you can't exhaust the kalima. And the real value of that word kalima as a Quranic word, so called, just know whenever I say Quranic from now on or Arabic, I'm talking something we inherited from the Greeks and from other languages.
Hmm.
For us, it's just Quran and it's a frequency.
Hmm.
So the way that we know we are in sync with the correct meanings for words is because those words are going to be able to be explained through the fitrah,
Hmm.
through the way Allah created creation to grow, to participate, and most of all, to behave. Creation is a behavior.
mm,
Got that?
mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell that to your college professor and see what happens. Watch the look on her face. Say, Mrs. Rosenthal, I think that creation, planets, the stars, the air, the water, I think that it's a behavior.
Mm,
She won't immediately dismiss it. She'll just ask you for more proof
mhm,
because she thinks behaviors are limited to people and animals.
mhm. Yeah. Anything with the physical brain and nervous system
Yeah, the
rather than like
fish and yeah,
consciousness.
no consciousness,
Yeah.
forget it. She
Yeah.
might not even include the amoeba in that. You know, no, they don't have brains. Yeah, they look like they're making independent choices, but they don't even have brains. So we can't even include that subspecies of life on Earth. You know, that's primitive.
Mhm,
Yeah. Hmm. Anyway, my point there was that life is to be determined by its behavior because its behavior is its nature. How a thing behaves is literally clocked into how it performs as a behavior.
mm,
When you say nature, that's what you're talking about. How a thing behaves. What is the nature of that fish or of that deer? You have to
mhm,
study how it behaves. You can't just look at it as a noun, thing, person, place. You have to say, well, how does the city operate here? You have to know something about the behavior of that town. Is this the Wild West? Or is this a sacred place on planet Earth? I won't know until I study its behavior. See?
mm,
And the
mm,
behavior of a thing is related to how a thing grows.
mm.
Some might say, prove that, instructor, but it sounds like you're just talking off the top of your head now. I am. But what's on the top of my head is precious. The top of my head is where my neocortex is.
Mhm,
So yes, I'm talking off the top of my head.
mm,
The English word behavior is from the Arabic word hibbun. Just take the
mm,
be off. That's a prefix. It's really havior and have or have, right?
mm,
Behave. We're saying be
mm,
have.
mm.
So we're talking about something that you have. And what does have mean? It means to possess.
Possession.
So
Yeah.
your behavior is typified by how and what you behave, what you possess.
Mm,
How do I know that's his behavior? Because that's how he acts. He's acting.
mhm,
He must have that in him because he keeps he keeps doing the same thing over and over again. That's in his behavior. It's a trait.
mhm,
So behavior is a behavior. It's what you have, and what you have it because of one major reason. You
mm,
desired it.
mm,
Oh man, this is about to get deep. You
mhm,
have it because it was your desire. Life, put an equal sign, desire. Life equals desire. If you don't have a desire for it, you won't go for it. You won't care for
mhm,
it. You won't want it because you don't have a desire for it.
mhm,
And the behavior will die. This is high psychology I'm teaching now.
Mm-hmm.
on a level that the behaviorists, those people in that field of psychology, are not aware of yet.
Hmm.
But it's language that comes right out of the scriptures. The Bible and the Quran speak on this subject, but esoterically, at least for the
Hmm.
Bible, the Quran is quite clear.
Hmm.
That's why the Quran doesn't mention a character that the Bible mentions called Eve,
Hmm.
because Eve, if you slap an H on the beginning, which interchanges with the E in many languages, she becomes a Heave.
Hmm.
And what is Heave? Have.
Hmm.
She represents that which every human being has to have. It's not just talking about a female in the garden
Hmm.
6,000 years ago. It's talking about a behavioral trait that every human being was born with, and that is desire.
Hmm.
The things that you already have or want if you don't have them.
Hmm.
That's why she got tricked up. He showed her the apple. She's so,
Hmm.
I don't yet have that. She showed her the mail. She said, you know, I don't yet
Hmm.
have one of those. What is that called? A husband? I need one
Hmm.
of those. She's out there shopping.
Hmm.
But it's the fact is that she had to have it. I think
Hmm.
that was the name of Spike Lee's first movie. She's got to have it.
She's got to have it.
You
Hmm.
remember that? Yeah.
I haven't
All right.
seen that one, but I've seen a
Mhm.
couple others.
Well,
Yeah.
skip it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. Not if, unless you just want to, bunch of sex scenes and college fraternity behaviors and all of that. I mean, it had a little message to it, but he's got a weird mind, if you ask me. He's got a very weird mind. And he wouldn't have lasted this long if he wasn't following the script that they gave him. So no, she's got to have it. I would don't waste your time with that. Yeah. Now, so hib, I told you, hibbun is the word in the Quran.
Hmm.
And out of hibbun, we know that the un sound is a suffix, a tanween suffix for those who understand that language. So it's really just hib. Or if you interchange the vowels, hub. So hib, hub. So what are we talking now? We're talking about plant life, and we're talking about the emotion that we call love.
I see where you're
Hibbun,
going.
yuhibbun.
Mm.
When the Quran says that Allah loves that you do a thing, hibbun. When he says that he doesn't love that you do a thing, la hibbun. He does not love,
Mm.
meaning this is not his desire.
Mm.
So trace it all the way back to the English language. All right.
Hmm.
You have the connection for the very strong emotion called desire.
Hmm.
Very strong emotion called desire. Desire has made so many babies in this world. I don't think there's one baby that desire is not the father of.
Hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do nothing if you didn't have any desire,
Hmm.
right? So that's how Eve got her name. And that's why the word Eve or the name Eve is not to be found in the Quran. You Muslims, I wish you would wake up and stop saying what Allah has not said. In all your literature, you're talking about Adam wa Hawa, Adam and Eve. There's no Eve in the Quran. That's not what he's talking about. Some female companion named Eve or Hawa or Hava in Hebrew. Hava.
Hmm.
Have. See? And then they like to play around with the language and create satire. So somebody in English history said, Eve ho. because they knew she was being treated like a hoe in the Bible. Hate to say that.
Hmm.
And that's not the Christians' fault that they manipulated the language like that.
Hmm.
Heave ho means I'm about to throw you overboard.
Hmm.
And they've been doing that with women ever since they thought they came into civilization. They've been treating her like that, like a hoe, excuse the expression. But you know what a hoe is? You dig it into the earth and then you take the earth up and then you heave it. Heave
Hmm.
a hoe. And
Yeah,
that has
tool.
been how they have been
Hmm.
treating the feminine principle and the female for
Hmm.
thousands of years now.
Yes. Hmm.
They're just beginning, maybe, to come into an appreciable level of intelligence that attempts, at least, to treat the female like she has some human worth and not just some
Hmm.
animal worth.
Definitely.
So I'd say to you Muslims one more time, stop calling her Eve.
Hmm.
Eve also means the setting of the sun
Hmm.
during what they call evening.
Hmm.
And the
New Year's
sun
Eve,
in
Christmas
every,
Eve.
yeah, the sun in every scripture and even in every mythology, the Norse mythology, man, mythologies from, Persia, even,
Hmm.
Mithra, all of these sun gods. The sun doesn't represent God per se. The sun represents social cognition or social awareness.
Hmm.
And why is that? Because when the sun comes up, you become aware of society. You become aware of your surroundings.
Hmm. Wow.
Makes sense, right?
Hmm.
All right. You want to keep on going?
Yeah, definitely. Is
All right.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I kind of have to stop and think and be like, wow.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
good. So you stop and think and you have questions, ask them along the way. If not, then
yeah.
I'm sure that when this video is ready, you'll be taking plenty notes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was rewatching bits of the last one too.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's one thing I wanted to add, but I think it'll just like come back to me. Um,
Yeah.
I don't remember if it had anything to do with like uh plant life and how we're related or something. Oh, here it is.
Hmm.
So you mentioned having and behavior,
Yes.
and my mind automatically went to neuroscience and how behavior can also be the offspring of a belief, or like an identity of something, like on a subconscious level. So like so what you believe can lead to the behaviors that you have, like based
All
off
of the
of,
time.
yeah. So if I believe that I'm a failure for any
Hmm.
reason, I'm going to start creating actions or behaviors
That bring
that
that
match
thing
that
to
state
you.
of mind.
That's right.
And then
That's
I'm
right. You're
gonna
matching frequencies. That's right.
yeah, and then I'm gonna wonder like, oh, you see, look, I'm a failure. But
Or do you
I
see
never
what they're
really
doing to me and they're not doing
yeah,
it to you?
exactly. Yeah.
You
So
you you are calling forth that frequency, but because we're not
mhm,
educated yet in how frequencies operate and how matching frequencies entertain each other, especially if you like being that. If you
mhm,
desire, remember now, if you have no desire,
mhm,
it won't happen. It'll happen momentarily because somebody's forcing you into that. But as soon
mhm,
as somebody stops forcing you to be that, you don't want anything more to deal with it, to do with it. They say slavery is over, 1865, you're free. There's some people who said, I don't want anything. I don't want to see another shovel. I don't want to see another pickaxe. I know
mhm,
I'm out of here. I'll make it on my own. Just send me into the woods. I can't take this anymore because they have no desire for that kind of tyranny. But there are other people who say, I can't make it without you, master.
mhm,
Can you at least give me a little bit of a job? Or, even if you don't pay me, can I just stay here and eat your food?
mhm.
I'll be good. See? I'm exaggerating a
Hmm.
little bit, but that's the
Hmm.
base. If you don't have a desire, you will not have that thing for long.
Hmm.
The other thing that says to us that's very important in 2025 is that many of the problems that we perceive ourselves as having can be eliminated and eradicated almost overnight if we would just stop having the desire for it.
Oh man, I could talk about that for hours.
I'm sure you
No,
can.
yeah, and the reason why I say that is just I've been kind of just meditating with Allah on this idea of how many things, how many just challenges that we've had. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the last call, but how
Mm,
many of them are actually self-created? Like our own, like our challenges and difficulty, how much of what we've created or challenges that we experience are actually from our own psychology and perception and
yeah.
beliefs. Like we
Yeah.
just believe things have to be this difficult or this hard,
Hmm.
and therefore we create it. And then when
Hmm.
we overcome it, we then tell the story, going back to Iblis, we tell the story about how we overcome it, how we overcame it, and then now we're the heroes. And then we recreate it again so we
Hmm.
can overcome
Hmm.
it again. And then it's just like this whole cycle of
Yeah.
creating difficulties that did not need to be there in the first place. When Allah even says in the Quran, like I created ease on you. Like I don't want any of this to be difficult on
That's
you.
right. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's where my mind went automatically when you
Yeah.
brought that up.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. When the Christians say Jesus, the wise ones among them know that they are calling for ease and
Hmm,
peace. When they say
hmm,
Jesus, they want easiness because they know he
hmm,
represents peace.
hmm,
Now, if your mind state is somewhere else other than peace, then you're not really practicing Christianity in the way that makes sense.
hmm,
He wasn't a tyrant looking for trouble. He was a man of peace that was willing to do whatever he needed to do within range of what would be permitted by his Lord, by Allah, to do,
hmm,
to bring his,
hmm,
because you see, you can't make progress mentally unless your mind is at peace.
hmm,
You'll stumble and fumble and forget and all of these things that the Quran personifies through different personalities. He personifies these things like the mismanagement of the intellect,
hmm,
forgetfulness, that's typified in the one that they call Anisa. Anisa.
hmm,
That's not a person. That's a personality,
hmm,
and it can fit a male just as easily as it fits a female.
hmm,
Anisa.
hmm,
Arijalu kawamuna ala nisa. They translate that incorrectly as the men are the maintainers and providers over the women.
hmm,
And it has nothing to do with the male or the female. Has nothing to do with the male being in charge of the female.
hmm,
If you believe that, then it means that Allah put information in his Quran that lessens the value of women when compared to her male counterpart.
hmm,
You're the mighty mouse of this story. You're coming to save the day, mister.
hmm,
I'm over here spitting out babies. Where's my credit?
hmm,
So that's not women and men that is talking about. It's talking about something that exists equally in both of you, whether you be male or female.
hmm,
Arijalu kawamuna ala nisa. The men are the maintainers and providers over, not for, like they translated. All that means over the women, but they couldn't give that to you in straight language because it would make them chauvinists to say that the men are over the women. It sounds sexual even.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they say it's because Allah has given one more than the other. How's that for equality?
Yeah.
So the women are lost from the get-go if they're following translations of these mistranslators.
Hmm. Hmm.
You understand? Yeah, they're out the
Hmm.
gate. They're making big time mistakes in the translations.
Hmm.
No, Aristotle is speaking to a property that exists within the intellect of human beings. It's how your intellect functions.
Hmm. I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
Yeah. The first thing that popped into my head was, could that possibly be the subconscious mind that receives the feminine, and then the conscious mind is over it? So it's sort of like guarding it. That's where my mind went
that's a
when you
perfect
mentioned
place
in
for it to end
between.
up. That's a perfect place for your mind to go because that's also included in the explanation.
Hmm.
That's right. That your conscious mind is the guardian and supervisor over what ends up in your subconscious mind. And
Hmm.
this is a major lesson for people studying psychology. How do you even get a subconscious mind? You get a subconscious mind from letting in information into your five senses that saturates the senses and that you remember over and over again as a habit.
Hmm.
And because you're remembering it over and over again as a habit, because you think you need it to survive, this information here,
Hmm.
then it becomes the substrata of your mind.
Hmm.
And the thing about the subconscious compared to the conscious mind, the subconscious, the conscious mind is just strategizing on how to stay on top.
Hmm.
That's all the conscious mind is doing. Even if I have to
Hmm.
lie,
Hmm.
you guys out there, do some research into what the difference is between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I need to
Hmm.
stay on top because I have a world to run. It's not just you, the male. It came to be the male because they mistranslated scripture
Hmm.
and they mistranslated even science to reflect their misogynist scheme.
Hmm. Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
the
rabbit hole.
information, that information that we were taking in, right? Because we were living then by then in a male dominated society. Societies around the world have not always been masculine dominated.
Hmm.
History goes back and forth between the feminine principle ruling. You know, if you pick up the average real history book, you're going to see gods and goddesses
Hmm.
ruling at certain times. In certain times in history, it's just the female goddesses that are ruling.
Hmm.
At other times, it's the masculine, the Thor and the Odin and that kind. Those
Hmm.
gods that are ruling. These are
Hmm.
forces that are operating within the psyche of people, not
Hmm.
in the life of the universe. There's no god of thunder out there.
Hmm.
There's no rain god out there waiting to punish you with dry heat and no food if you're misbehaving. No, they translated all of this to represent forces in nature. That's all angels mean. It means forces in
Hmm.
nature.
Hmm. I was
Strike
going
one
to
up.
ask you about that
Strike
last
one up for
time.
W.D. Muhammad. He's the first one I heard
Yeah.
say that the angels represent forces in nature,
I was
electricity,
wondering.
magnetism, all those things you were mentioning, gravity, all of these forces in nature
Hmm.
that obey Allah without questioning.
Hmm. Now it gets even deeper when you go back to that ayat in Surah Sad about like Allah telling the angels to bow down to Adam once he's put his soul within.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
man.
See, the equivalent of that level of angelic behavior. Remember, everything we're discussing has to do with behaviors.
Hmm.
The equivalent of that angel that cannot disobey is your instinctive nature, your
Hmm.
instincts. Your instincts do not disobey not one single command.
Hmm.
You have to blink.
Hmm.
You have to swallow.
Hmm. You have to breathe.
You have, oh, bro, that was my next one in line. You have to
Hmm.
breathe.
Hmm.
You have to eat. Eventually,
Hmm.
you can be Dr. Whoever who was living off of tea leaves, or I don't know what he was living off, Dr. Sabi and all that. But you can be them if you think you can do that and not eat. They got some breatharians in the world that say they don't have to eat. They live off of prana. They live off of air. Okay, well, you ate something. Breathing is drinking.
Hmm.
Did you know that?
I could see it,
Breathing.
but you probably have a, yeah, definitely
Well, yeah,
elaborate.
well, let's fill it out. Breathing
Yeah.
is drinking
Hmm.
because breath is a liquid
Hmm.
and you're taking it into your system. Ask anybody who's like a real crackpot. I guess no, no, not crackpot. A real what they call that when a person's real good at something.
Hmm.
Um, I forget the name of it, but ask them who know the science behind fasting and these other things. It's just a
Hmm.
different level of drinking.
Hmm.
And this is why they fool people into believing that if they smoke cigarettes during Ramadan, they haven't violated anything. Yes, you have. You
Hmm.
drank smoke.
Hmm.
Again, I first heard that from W.D. Muhammad.
Hmm.
He dropped 1,000 gems on us like that. He said, yeah,
Hmm.
he said smoking is he said all over the Muslim world. Ramadan comes and they outside thinking that they're fasting. Shut smoke. That's drinking. So another that's for another day. All right.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to the subject at hand. I mentioned last week that the Khalifa fil Ard is a Khalifa because he leads from the rear, from the back.
Hmm.
And I gave as an example the caboose train that pushes the front of the train forward, but it does it from the back. The motor,
Hmm.
everything is in the back of the train. Now, keep in mind the idea of something that is giving its marching orders from being positioned in the front of something, not in the back. Usually it's the commander,
Hmm.
the general, somebody's, in the front.
Hmm.
George Washington, come on, men, let's go get him. But if he's not
Hmm.
on the front line, they'll think he's a coward. They said, well,
Hmm.
General, aren't you going to get in the front line and show us how to do this? No, I'll
Hmm.
meet you in the back. I'll be in the back. No, they're not going to accept that because nature tells you the leader should be in the front.
Hmm.
Look at your brain. This part of the
Hmm.
brain, the neocortex, is in the front. Look at a picture of it, and you see that it comes all the way around like this. And the bulk of the brain, most of your brain consists of the neocortex, and it's in the front. They call
Hmm.
these frontal lobes that do your
Hmm.
thinking for you, right?
Hmm.
All right. Now, Khalifa is representing that which is bringing up the rear. So let's look at one of the things this may be saying. In nature, as far as evolution is concerned, the one to bring up the rear is the human intellect.
Hmm.
That means that the human intellect was sitting and doing what it does from a dormant position. Dormant just means inactive.
Hmm.
Did we have an intellect a million years ago? I don't know. If we did, according to the way societies have developed in history, you'd have to say that the human intellect was not in the front. It was bringing up the rear.
Hmm.
And we explained it earlier in these Western kinds of developments that have taken place over the last few hundred years or so, where the doctors didn't know to wash their hands.
Hmm.
Why? Because the intellect was not ruling from the front. It was still in the rear. Am I making myself clear
Hmm.
so far?
Hmm.
All right. Now, so human beings are not born with functional intellects. They're born with the property and the potential to grow intellectually, but they are not
Hmm.
born with something like being born with a heart and the heart automatically beats. Being
Hmm.
born with a spleen and it automatically does what it does. Being born with genitals that automatically pee and poop. You don't
Hmm.
have to wait for that. You have to put time into disciplining those functions, but you don't have to wait for it to grow. In the human
Hmm.
being, you have to wait for the intellect to grow and catch up with where you are in society and in history.
Hmm.
That's why they have different names for different parts of history. The beginning years, the Middle Ages, you see,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
we're growing at different rates.
Hmm.
Now, this thing we're calling the cerebellum, we explained last week, is letting us know that, excuse me, a serious itch for some reason these last few weeks in my nose, but it's letting us know that the whatever that is in the human being called the cerebellum, is something that participates in war. Because
Hmm.
bellum, as you said last week, represents war,
Hmm.
antebellum times,
Hmm.
anti-war times. But it can also represent the exact opposite. That's why in some languages the word bella means beautiful.
Mm. True.
Southern belle, right?
Hmm.
This is so wonderful when you think about it. Right? But
Hmm.
bellum, as such, represents fighting.
Hmm.
And Allah says some things about fighting.
Hmm.
And he says we don't like it, even though it's good for us.
Hmm.
If that newborn baby was not fighting when he came out that womb, that's not a good thing. They will look at it as something's wrong. He's sedated or something. Maybe we shot him up with too much of this drug and it's causing him to be too lax. He comes out, he's got a lot of work to do.
Hmm.
So he comes out, what they say, at the bell.
Hmm.
The bell is what gets him to fighting. Ding. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, first round. That's what gets him to
Hmm.
fighting.
Hmm.
They got a big cracked bell in Philadelphia that represents their wars and their struggles and their
Oh yeah.
strife and their
Hmm.
urge towards liberty. For liberty,
Hmm.
you got to throw up some hands sometimes. Right? Some of us, in order to have left home, we had to throw up some words.
Hmm.
Hope none of us were throwing up hands to our parents, but sometimes, Dad, no, I need to do, or sometimes your father will come out to you, boy, you need to get out there and get you a job. There's a struggle taking place here, right? Now, the the reason why human beings come here with a proclivity for fighting or war, and it's very temporary. The
Hmm.
baby comes out of the womb with his hands up.
Hmm.
Yeah, he comes out ready for battle because all of this is new. Who
Hmm.
are these people? He doesn't even know who his mother is by sight.
Hmm.
Not to mention that dude with the white coat. Who's that with
Hmm.
the mask on? You know, who's that? The other woman over there
Hmm.
bleeding. What's going on? I was
Hmm.
born into the war field. Who are
Hmm.
these? And why am I so bloody? I mean,
Hmm.
if you could think of an infant as having a cogent intellect, these would be the questions he'd be asking. Why am I so bloody?
Hmm.
Why is my breathing so labored?
Hmm.
But she's just starting to breathe
Hmm.
as an independent life form.
Hmm.
Now, the individual, if you've heard me over the years, and I know you have, we're functioning as human beings based on a triune brain on the most part. There's
Hmm.
more to it, but the three basic levels of the
Hmm.
human brain are triune. Do you remember what they are?
Hmm. Neocortex,
That's on top.
um, yeah, neocortex, limbic brain, and reptilian.
There you go. Very good. So
Hmm.
that's from top to bottom. Yes, neocortex, the thinking brain,
Hmm.
the limbic brain, the memory and emotion brain.
Hmm.
So the middle brain carries both properties, memory bank and emotions.
Hmm.
And I'll explain the difference between the limbic and the cerebellum, which also has emotions and memory. I'll
Hmm.
explain the difference in a moment. Now, uh, that's the triune brain. Triune means three in one, triune brain.
Hmm.
So that brain on the bottom that we're calling the reptilian brain, the reptile brain,
Hmm.
is a brain that does not feature emotions or memory on the most part. Emotions or memory. Now, some say yes, it does because yeah, but it's in very minute spurts of emotions and
Hmm.
memory. It's not the feature. The
Hmm.
feature is survival. The
Hmm.
feature is instinctive drive that allows for the fight or flight of a creature.
Hmm.
They call it the fight or flight instinct in a creature.
Yep.
And,
There's even
and
more now. I think you got
oh yeah,
freeze and fawn and others.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You got rest and digest. There's a lot of properties there, but the
Hmm.
major ones that we're going to be concerned with are the fight and the flight. There are some other major ones, but that's the real building blocks. Those are the building blocks around which the reptilian brain is born because
Hmm.
it has to perform tasks in the same way that the average reptile performs tasks. The alligator, the salamander, the frog, all of these are um, spoken of as reptilian creatures.
Hmm.
And they're not being emotional in their activities or in their behavior. They're not exhibiting emotional tendencies. They're exhibiting instinctive tendencies. And your instincts are related to a part of the brain that is on autopilot. These
Hmm.
are automatic behaviors. They're not behaviors that you need to think about before you do them. Because if you
Hmm.
take too long to think about them, you could be dead. Something's coming
Hmm.
at you at such a velocity and with such a danger, sign in its window. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. If it's coming at you like that and you're not quick enough to deal with it, you're out of here. So
Hmm.
that's a prompt that Allah puts into human nature to say, you don't have to think about this one. I've thought about it for you. Do this right now and you'll survive.
Mm. I
So
think
just like
neuroscience calls it a reflexive action or reflexive task.
reflexive, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Because if somebody throws a ball at you right now, you might catch it and be able to knock it away without even knowing that it's coming.
Hmm.
Those are your instincts doing that.
Hmm.
So the human being is a complex creature created, as Allah says in the Quran, fi ahsani taqweem, in the most excellent of organizational designs. There's no other life form that exhibits the level of quality that the human being is able to exhibit.
Hmm.
Human being is able to run, do all these things these other creatures do, but he can take a basketball while he's running, jump up 6 feet in the air, turn around 3 times, and dunk it in a hole. Yeah, your gorilla can't do that. You can talk about how equally all you want. Your Magilla gorilla, he can't do that.
Oh, Magilla. Some would say I'm too young to know about that, but I'm like, no, I like
I
cartoons.
know you're not. I can feel your frequencies. I read frequencies is what I don't have to ask you. I know you know Magilla. All right. I know you know Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. I know what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Fred Flintstone and Barney. Yeah, I know you know these things.
Mhm. Yeah.
They ain't too long though.
Yeah.
Now, so instincts, bottom brain, the one we've been discussing,
Hmm.
the cerebellum has control over your human instincts, the things that you have to do immediately for survival sake. You have to eat, you have to drink, you got to rest, you got to do all of those things that your body does automatically. It's called the
Hmm.
autonomic nervous system that's controlling that.
Hmm.
The other one is called your central nervous system. They're two different nervous systems that are doing two different things.
Hmm.
One is ensuring your survival. That's the base level one, the one that reaches all the way into your gut and is doing things
Hmm.
perpetually. And in your sleep, you're still doing it. It doesn't ask you for permission to go to the
Hmm.
bathroom. It tells you what you're gonna go, where you gonna go. 3 in the morning. Yeah, they ain't gonna ask your permission.
Yep.
Can I go to the bathroom? No. It's
Hmm.
gonna tell you when you get 2 feet from your door and you knew you had to go a half an hour ago, but you didn't go. Now you're up to your door. It likes to make a little bit of a fool out of you. And while you're fumbling with your keys, you might wet on yourself.
Hmm.
You got all the way to your door from your car. You're sticking the key in the door. Now there's an urge in your biology that says, I need to go to the bathroom. And you're saying to
Hmm.
yourself, don't do this to me. You're
Hmm.
talking to that urge like you're talking to another person.
Hmm.
You see
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Same part of the brain that controls it's involved in healing, like automatically.
Yes.
Don't have to
That's
think about
right.
that.
Automatic healing. That's right. It's the
Hmm.
it's the part of the brain that if you get a cut, it sews it back up with no doctor involved.
Hmm.
If you need a doctor to do something major, then that's different. But once he does what he does
Hmm.
major wise, who dissolves that surgery so that months
Hmm.
later, people don't even know that you cut your finger. Who does that?
Hmm.
That's automatic.
Yep.
You don't have to think about
Hmm.
it. All right. Now,
Not at all.
so we are born into this protection mode that the cerebellum provides for us. And I want to speak now about cognition.
Mm,
Cognition involves the act of being conscious. It involves the idea behind being able to recognize things in your environment and in you, and the consequences of paying attention or not paying attention of those things or to those things in your environment.
mm,
These are the cognitive sciences. Okay.
mm,
Now, there's cognition. Here's a lesson for those who are in this field, like your Dr. Joe Dispenzas and Dr. Bruce Lipton's and those people.
mm,
One day they're going to hear these conversations that you and
mm,
I are having, and they're going to say, whoa, we didn't think about that part of what we're doing.
mhm,
This is not me bragging now. This is me just understanding instinctively what's about to happen in the sciences, especially the sciences related to metaphysics, more than even biology and physics.
mhm,
This is like a new layer being laid across the planet of understanding.
mhm,
And the only ones who can grasp it are going to be those who have the right heart sensitivity. It won't
mm,
be just anybody and everybody like these physical science were. The physical sciences were for anybody who would just study it and listen and follow up and do the homework and but this metaphysical level of understanding is only for those people who have the right qalb,
mm,
QALB, the right qalb.
mm.
What is qalb?
It's hard.
That's right. The ones
Mhm,
who have the right heart.
mm,
Because this level is registering on a level that is the heart and above. Now, that's a class we'll
mm,
have maybe next time we meet. There are levels of frequency that are registering from the heart up. So it's actually from the fourth level. If you're looking at chakras,
mhm.
it's from the
That's what I'm on
fourth
with.
level to the seventh level.
Mhm.
The first three levels, anybody can get that.
Oh yeah,
Survival.
everybody
Yeah,
uses it.
survival. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boyfriend,
Mhm,
girlfriend. Yeah, anybody can get that. Animals,
mm,
anybody can get that. But when you start
mhm,
dealing with insight, when you start dealing with the metaphysical meanings for the third eye and for your social sensitivities and these things that are constantly growing and expanding in you, you have to be dedicated on a different level than the people who have given themselves to the first three levels, which are mostly materialistic.
mhm,
Got it? The first three levels of that chakra development, or whatever you want to call it, there are other words for it.
mhm. Energy
Those are
centers.
dedicated, epicenters, yeah. Those are
Yeah.
dedicated to the material world and the world of the material sciences. So if you're deeply invested in the material sciences, you can run away with that knowledge.
Mhm,
But you have to be dedicated to these higher regions of understanding.
mhm,
And Allah gives you that in the Quran. He says,
mhm,
none can touch it. He's speaking about the Quran. None can touch it except the purified ones.
mm,
And there's another ayah in the Quran when Allah is speaking about the muhkamat and the mutashabihat ayat in the Quran,
mhm,
right? And he says that those who favor the mutashabihat over the muhkamat, they have an issue in the qalb that we've been talking about. They have an issue in the heart.
mm,
It's called zagon. They translate it as disease. They have a
mm,
disease in their hearts.
mhm,
Zagon.
mm,
What does za mean? As a letter, zay, za, it
Z.
means something that happens quickly. See
Hmm.
how much more benefit you can get when you understand numetics, the
Yeah.
science of linguistic understanding of letters and letter sounds and names of
Hmm.
letters. How much benefit can you get from just studying where these letters come from and what they're actually saying? So Zayon is that za sound, which means quick. I don't know if you remember. This might be a
Hmm.
little before your time. The character called the Zorro.
Oh yeah, Zorro. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember Zorro, right? Zorro
Hmm.
would come through there
The
with
Anthony
his sword.
Hopkins one.
Yeah, Anthony, that's right. Yeah, because they updated it, right? So
Yeah.
Zorro would come through there with his sword, and
Hmm.
he was always swift. He was always fast because the Z represents that zoom,
Hmm.
something that happens. It happens so quick you might miss it,
Hmm. Zap,
right?
like lightning.
Zap, yeah,
Like,
Batman. He's zap,
yeah.
zowie. All yeah,
Yeah.
it's happening real fast. Now, when you connect that sound to that next part of the word, run, run, the GH sound, rein is the letter, rein. It represents that which is obscured from view.
Hmm.
So Zegon, for all intents and purposes, represents that which is being obscured from clear view, from you clearly seeing its message or its inferences.
Hmm.
So that's when you go into the Quran and you just start telling people this means that and that means the other thing, and none of it is related. But you're
Hmm.
talking to people who don't understand how to differentiate. So they accept what you're saying because they see you as being the authority. You're the one
Hmm.
with the sword. Believe
Hmm.
this, or we're going to show you what else we can do with this sword. Going to create a zigzag right on your forehead just to start.
Hmm.
See?
One thing I was thinking about, regarding the energy systems, I probably overlooked it in the Quran, or maybe it's just been a minute. Well, at least I haven't looked at it 100% like through like the lens of how
Mm-hmm.
you go about it. But I know, like, we all know, like, the shadow side of being in the first three centers of survival the whole time. But I wasn't sure if the Quran mentioned the shadow side of being in the upper centers where you're just not grounded the whole
Mm-hmm.
time. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of that in just like spiritual spaces, to the point where people are just like, they want nothing to do with the human world or the 3D material world whatsoever, because they've transcended and now they're
Mm-hmm.
just like beyond it, and just,
Yeah.
activate the pineal gland like all the time, or maybe take like way too many plant medicines, and they just want to be like way
Yeah.
up, like they're like, listen, I want nothing to do with this. This is all illusion. This is the real stuff. And they just,
Mm-hmm.
so I've been wondering about that too, just not having that balance between, you know being in this human experience, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time being connected to those higher dimensions, those higher frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
and taking
Mm-hmm.
that and integrating back into your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I wasn't sure if you came across anything like that, or.
No, I do know that the issues for human beings are mostly tied to what we mentioned earlier as the human intellect, because the
Hmm.
job of the intellect is to slice and dice the entire world into compartments, into divisions,
Hmm.
into um see, when we divide the world, it makes it easier to manage.
Hmm.
So whoever came up with the idea for naming people black, brown, red, and then
Hmm.
later naming them black, brown, red, yellow, white, whoever did that
Hmm.
was a genius. But
Hmm.
at the same time that he was a genius, he was dividing the world unnaturally. and
Hmm.
unnecessarily. But it was a part of human growth and development that that happened.
Hmm.
But that wasn't necessarily the intention of the scholars and the scientists who came up and backed that theory to no end. They wanted that division.
Hmm.
One of the last things that they want to allow human beings to believe is that we are all connected.
Hmm.
They have a vested interest in having human beings believe that we are different than each other
Hmm.
and that we will never get along as human beings. There will always be world wars and skirmishes and bloodshed,
Hmm.
like the Khalifa, like they thought the Khalifa was going to bring.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's going to always be here. No, the world is growing closer and closer and closer to or in the idea of Tawheed.
Hmm.
It can't help it. It's in the nature of nature
Hmm.
to grow closer. And even the animals are getting along better with each other. They used to be enemies to each other.
Hmm.
So they're trying to put blinders over our eyes so that we don't see this cohesion.
Hmm.
They want you to take the blindfold off and still see niggas. Take the
Hmm.
blindfold off and still see the Klan. Take the blindfold off and still see the people who don't speak your language and they're savages because they don't speak like you or whatever. They want us to
Hmm.
still see these artificial divisions. The only reason that there are divisions is to make it more convenient to separate out things that you need to work on in order to improve them.
Hmm.
This is why the doctor uses the scalpel. This
Hmm.
is why the doctor might have to cut something out of you and separate it from you to save your life.
Hmm.
Not because you didn't need that thing. You
Hmm.
need your heart. We're just going to take this one out and give you a better one. That's what the doctor does. So that's using the principle of separation for good purposes,
Hmm.
higher purposes. But if you want to take my heart out and just to take my heart out, no, no, I'm sorry, buddy. You can't experiment on me like that. And they did that with many people, especially our people.
Hmm.
They would just put us in the operating room and practice and
Hmm.
just because they wanted to. But we're growing out of that era, error actually, ERROR. We're growing out of that
Hmm.
era that represents false, artificial, unnecessary separations of humans from humans.
Hmm.
The only reason we're running into a stalemate, my friend, with how the world is getting better. The only
Hmm.
reason why we're thinking that we're just becoming more and more prone to evil. There's one major
Hmm.
reason for it. That reason is that we've never, ever been adequately taught what a human even is.
Hmm.
You should treat me like a human being. They're not treating those people like human beings. But if you ask that same person, what is a human being? They couldn't tell you.
Hmm.
They could maybe tell you how they feel about it, but they can definitely not tell you what they think about it because this world has not given us that concept to even think on.
Hmm.
That's why we're going through what we're going through with this idea of the triune brain and the pineal gland and all of these things that I'm pointing out to my audiences. That
Hmm.
is necessary knowledge. This is the real ilm.
Hmm.
Ilm is not just any knowledge. It's not knowledge just because you memorized it. That's not ilm. It has nothing to do with ilm.
Hmm.
Ilm is only knowledge that operates sufficiently after it's in your system.
Hmm.
Look at the letters that comprise ilm. Ein, lam, mim.
Hmm.
Ein, the eye. Lam, the
Hmm.
tongue.
Hmm.
Meme, the
Water.
stomach.
Oh,
Stomach.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have different meanings. They're all related.
Yeah.
But you heard your mother say you need to stop eating with your eyes
Hmm.
because she knew that you were desiring things that you didn't really
Hmm.
need. That's the human life right there. It desires things that it doesn't even need. It's just eating with its eyes. It wants it because Bobby has it. I want that toy because Bobby has that toy. His mommy got him that toy. I want one too. And it takes
Hmm.
you 2 minutes and 15 seconds to not want to even play with that thing anymore
Hmm.
because you were just eating with your eyes. You see? Now we're
Hmm.
taking the long route to our short subject, but this is beautiful.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the Khalifa. All right. Now, the eyes take in images, and based on the presentation that the eyes see concerning that image, it may want it or it might think it's detestable.
Hmm.
But when a human being sees something that he likes, or member of the opposite gender or whatever, or some food or people relaxing on the beach or whatever it is that he sees, he wants that. That's how desires are built. Allah created, he retrofitted us for that level of wanting things,
Hmm.
for of desiring things. In the Quran, the nature to desire like that on that level is called ahwa, ahwah, ahwa. You hear the breath in that? Ahwa.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. So when you want something on that level, you're desiring it. Now, remember, I told you that Eve was never a name that was sanctioned in the Quran. And
Hmm.
her name was Hawa, which is a related word to Ahwa. You can hear the
Hmm.
connection.
Oh yeah.
So she represents the desirous nature in you. And you're not supposed to give unnecessary attention to everything that you desire
Hmm.
just because you want it. You think you want it. There's an
Hmm.
evaluation that your system has to go through. It might be something that will kill you almost immediately if you're allergic to whatever you're about to ingest.
Hmm.
If you diabetes, something like you don't even realize all the bad things that could happen because you want this.
Hmm.
It's a
Definitely.
desire. What is
Hmm.
desire? D means to take away from.
Hmm.
Sire means king.
Hmm.
It's old English, ain't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
sire. That's where we get the word sir, a person of respect, a person we need to look up to, right? So desire means to take away your authority.
Hmm. That's interesting.
They control authority based on how they get us to desire the things they put in front of us, like
Hmm.
food,
Hmm.
like the opposite sex, and sometimes now the same sex. they
Hmm.
they have us desiring the same sex. Because the mind
Hmm.
don't know, the mind is scrambled. There's no sex built into the mind. The mind
Hmm.
has no clue until you interpret it. The mind has no clue that that's a male or that's a female. All the mind knows is what the flesh tells it. The flesh
Hmm.
is in charge when you're in this body. And the flesh, alhamdulillah, has been created so that it follows through on what it believes to be its purpose without any interference. So, what does that mean? The flesh has built into its desire
Hmm.
reproduction. See, we're still
Hmm.
operating in the lowest of the chakras.
Hmm.
Safety, then reproducing the species. That's your second chakra.
Hmm.
Then the ego, the temporary or the limited ego. That's the third. Mirror,
Hmm.
mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? I'm is.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's where the level of your personification of people, places, and things, that's where it ends. It ends
Hmm.
at you looking in the mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. See, I'm asking him to change his ways because that's where the problem
Hmm.
is. It's in your ego.
Hmm.
Makes sense, right?
There's an
Yeah.
ayat about that too. Changing what's within yourself,
Yes,
change your
that Allah will not
circumstances.
change it until you change what is in your core,
Mm-hmm.
what is in your nafs. You have to change that, buddy. And if Allah says that you have to change it, it means He gave you the ability to do it.
There you go.
Allah will never ask you to do anything that He hasn't given you permission or the ability to follow through on.
Hmm.
We think we have to run to the psychiatrist or to the dope dealer to get what we need to go on another day, the liquor store.
Hmm.
We think we have to do that because we have been fooled. I'm going to say this to Muslims, but it's meant for every intelligent seeker of truth, what I'm about to say. And that is that the life that Allah has created you to live, and you can replace Allah with God or whoever you think is the supreme authority in the
Hmm.
universe. You might just think it's nature if you don't believe in God. Yeah, well, nature or
Hmm.
the force or whatever.
Hmm.
That life still acts on your behalf, whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it Allah or not, whether you call it Jehovah, Yahweh, or whatever as
Hmm.
long as it's nothing nasty that you're referring to that power as.
Hmm.
But remember, creation and its forces are neutral until you assign to it some moral implication, some value. No, this is not just a power. This is God. When you assign a power, then that power works on your behalf, whether you call him Allah or not. And this is why Christians get their prayers answered and Jews get their prayers answered. And all everybody's
Hmm.
praying different. Why? How does he get
Hmm.
his prayers answered? And I'm making the salat and I'm not getting mine answered. I thought I was doing it the way Allah wanted me to. You know what I'm saying? This guy over here
Hmm.
is praying to Shambhala. Yeah, he's getting
Hmm.
answers because it's not language that's reaching Allah, it's frequency.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Definitely.
if you're not praying with a matching frequency to what Allah wants you to do, as far as Allah is concerned, you ain't even talking to Him. There's no conversation going on. Allah says
Hmm.
He answers the dua of every da'i. He answers the plea it actually means invitation, not prayer. He answers the invitation of every inviter when he invites.
Hmm.
So to hear back from the Lord, creator, sustainer of all the systems of knowledge, just to hear from him, all you have to do is that simple thing right there. Invite
Hmm.
him.
That's it.
I ain't coming to your party and you ain't even invite me. I'm not coming to crash your party. That's what people want Allah to do, crash people's parties. Allah, why haven't you crashed the Trump party yet? Or the the King Fahd, Why are these people still ruling? You haven't crashed those parties yet. He wasn't invited to do so. Think about that.
Hmm.
Why haven't you crashed my son-in-law's party as bad as he's been to my daughter? He wasn't invited to do so. I'm saying some controversial things now. The reason why your daughter and your son-in-law are having so many problems, and the reason why he's becoming violent, obnoxious towards you, he doesn't speak anymore when he comes in the house. He likes to eat up all your food and leave, and he's not treating her right. He's not treating his children right now that he has children. He's not doing any of those. But Allah allows that relationship to consist and to exist. Why? If there's an Allah, it must not be an Allah. That's my conclusion. There must not be any
Hmm.
Allah controlling. Because if he
Hmm.
was, I know he'd be punishing this knucklehead for the stuff that he's been doing. Right? He knows I'm too weak to fight him, and yeah. No,
Hmm.
he answers the invitation. of any inviter. Putin could invite him.
Hmm.
Donald Trump could invite him.
Hmm.
Biden, he could have invited him.
Hmm.
or 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 Allah is not telling the truth. When he says, I answer the invitation of every invite, one person who invites me. But then he has a caveat after he says, when he calls, when he invites. If he doesn't invite me, I don't come to that party.
Hmm.
You handle it. That's what he's saying. You
Hmm.
must think you can handle that.
Hmm.
You must think your political party can handle that. Your blue and red party and purple party and all of that.
Hmm.
You don't need me.
Hmm.
If you needed me, you would have called me and I ain't heard from you yet.
Hmm. I was even
Oh,
thinking about
yeah.
this in the context of business too. Like, while
Mhm.
some businesses are successful and some aren't, like, are they even like calling on God or any
Well,
creator to
it even
with
goes
their
beyond
business?
just saying, oh, Allah.
Hmm.
See, when you say Allah, you're saying allow,
Hmm.
because that's where they got the word Allah,
Hmm.
Allow, from Allah,
Hmm.
because Allah allows. So that's why you got to be careful what you ask for.
Hmm.
See, people think, oh, well, Allah knows what I need. So if it's not what I need, He's not going to let me have that. He'll let you have that if you sent out a frequency to match that. That's
Hmm.
how you call. And the
Hmm.
frequency has to be consistent. So He knows that's what you want because you keep calling for it.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yes, it's beautiful when you understand it.
Oh yeah.
See? So you
Oh
have
yeah.
to break the habit of calling on the wrong frequency level.
Hmm.
How do you
Almost
do
sounds like
that,
Dr. Joe's
instructor?
second book.
Yeah, it would. That's why I said he would love this. If he heard this or when he hears this, he's going to love this.
Yeah, breaking the habit of being yourself. Yeah,
That's
that's what
what
he
he
calls
wrote.
it. That's what
That's
he called
right.
it.
That's what it is. Breaking the habit, the hibun, the habit
Hmm.
of being yourself.
Hmm. Or what
Because
you
being
call yourself.
yourself, yes, being yourself is not good if you're calling yourself out of habit.
Hmm.
That's why people take drugs out of habit. They call it a habit.
Hmm.
Why are you still on heroin? It's a habit. When
Hmm.
I first started, it wasn't a habit. Now it's a habit. Okay, well, you got to
Hmm.
break that habit first before you can call me because the
Hmm.
habit means you love it. And you
Hmm.
can't break the habit of a person who loves that thing that they're indulging in. That's why habit and hibbun, love, are just basically the same word.
Hmm. Goes back to identity too. If you identify as a heroin addict, then you're going to keep creating the habit. So
Yeah.
stop identifying as.
And then you go to these programs, you go to these programs that
Yeah.
encourage you to keep calling yourself that. The 12-step program. I am a
Hmm.
drug addict. I am an alcoholic. How long you been not drinking alcohol? For 4 years now. And you're still an alcoholic? I'm going to be an alcoholic for life. Why? Who created you like
Hmm.
that? You
Hmm.
can't bring your cells change molecules every 7 years
Hmm.
to the point where you are literally a different person 8 years later. But you've been dry now from alcohol for 12 years and you're still an alcoholic.
Hmm.
You're still a methadone junkie inside, and all it takes is for somebody to just tempt you a little bit, and you can go back to that lifestyle and feel justified because you were just weak. That's why Allah created you. That's why He don't come to you. That's why He don't answer you. He ain't
Hmm.
ready to be answered. He ain't ready for my answer. That's what Allah say. He ain't ready for my
I'm
answer. My answer
gonna tell
is
him straight.
my answer is do it yourself. You remember Elijah Muhammad said, "Do for self." That would be Allah's answer right there.
Hmm.
I made listen, the angels bowed down to you, buddy. What do you want me to do? I had all of the forces in creation coming to your aid, Mr.
Hmm.
Khalifa. What do you want me to do?
Hmm.
In addition to that, I feed the birds every morning. the worms, everybody gets a little share of this creation. They get their measure. Ain't nobody out here starving as a creature.
mm,
And they ain't losing their minds trying to find the food that they need for daily survival. Well, what's wrong with you? Your system is imbalanced. See?
mm,
Allah says, when I have balanced him and have breathed into him of my ruh, that's when the angels, all of these forces bow down. But you have to
mm,
be balanced first. That's the prerequisite
mm,
that most people are not recognizing. Not because you're a Muslim. He didn't say when you have you taken Shahada.
mhm. Where my
I
mind
didn't.
goes for the balancing part is back to the nervous system, like getting out of that fight or flight.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're like no longer like in that survival mode and you're just like neutral
Yeah.
and and you feel like safe. At
Yeah.
least like that's the way I see the balance or how I interpret the balance.
It makes sense.
Because from that place you can make like you can access the neocortex and all those parts of the brain like more
That's the
effectively.
lighthouse. That's the
Yeah.
lighthouse. It
Hmm.
sends out a beam that we can see circumspectually,
Hmm.
360 degrees. It sees
Hmm.
what's coming. It knows what's going.
Hmm.
But now that you've mentioned that again, let's look at it. This custodian position that they're calling Khalifa,
Hmm.
they translate it as custodian.
Hmm.
And what a custodian does is clean up. He's got a cleanup position.
Hmm.
Uh, in baseball, I think they have something called a cleanup batter, right? He comes to put the finishing touches on, okay, this guy, he's a slammer here. This guy's gonna hit it out the park.
Hmm.
He's a cleanup batter. So the custodian usually comes after hours.
Hmm.
He usually comes in the night,
Hmm.
just thinking it
Having
out,
been one
right?
myself.
So have I.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
gym. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you have to wait for the people to start shutting down
Hmm.
and leaving before you begin to clean up because they left a lot of mess for you to deal with.
Hmm.
Now, let me tell you about that mess. They have left the kind of mess that we might call just a lot of crap.
Hmm.
You look around and you don't see anything you can even use because they just left a lot of crap. And I'm using that colloquially and as slang.
Hmm.
But I want you to look at the letters now that comprise the word crap.
Hmm.
Spell it out for me.
Hmm. So, ju CRP comes to mind for the
Hmm.
for
Yeah, just take out the
the
vowel, right? Yep.
consonants.
So you're
Yeah.
talking about C, which is really the hard K.
Hmm.
We're talking crap,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So guttural.
hmm
Yeah. Then we got the R. So liquid
hmm
in the P and another P in the B. Remind me again.
the labial.
Labial. Okay. All right.
Hmm
Gotcha.
Yeah, the K, the hard K, the raw,
Hmm.
and then the P,
In the
the
P.
labial, the lip sound P,
Hmm.
and it can be interchanged on different levels. It can be interchanged as crab with a B instead of a P because they are interchangeable.
Yeah. And they clean up.
Yes, they do.
Hmm.
So that's what you're looking for now. When you're dealing with consonantal connections, you just did the right thing. And that is look for the commonalities between these words.
Hmm.
I'm going to give you a couple of other instances. Let's go to the main one, the word Khalifa.
Hmm.
Fa,
Hmm.
the guttural that interchanges with the K sound.
Hmm.
Also, but it's the KH, sa.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the lam, the L sound, ha, la, fa, right?
Mm-hmm.
The L. And the
And the R.
L interchanges with the R. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The R, the rotor sound. And what
Mm-hmm.
L and R have in common is what?
L and R. Um, I know electromagnetism comes to mind.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
but then I
in the motion that's created by the presentation or the pronunciation, what do you have in common? The
this.
L and the R.
Mm-hmm. There's movement.
Which way?
Hmm. Hmm.
And by what?
I know. I know. R. I mean R goes forward,
Hmm.
and L. I mean the L just kind of sticks. So
Where?
it sticks at the top.
Very good. It's
Mm-hmm.
important to understand that. L and R are movements of the tongue that take the tongue upwards.
Mm-hmm.
R is happening at the top, the rotor sound. And
Mm-hmm.
L, very obvious. It's a magnet, it magnetizes to the top. So there's electricity, as you mentioned, R, but there's also magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
L.
Mm-hmm.
One is shaky, sometimesy. That's the R. She loves me, she loves me not, she loves me, she loves me not. You know, that kind of movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is L. I'm stuck on you for life, baby. L, love is all that, what is the song? Yeah. All
Mm-hmm.
that they can give to you, or whatever, L, love, more than just a game for two. So my point is both movements of the tongue go upward. Leader. Start thinking about these other words. Start with words in the Quran, though.
Mm-hmm.
But think about these other words that contain these letters. I want you people out there to do a deep dive into what we're discussing right now. It's that important. All right. Now, crap. That's usually throwaway kinds of stuff or stuff that you got to flush down the toilet or
Mm-hmm.
it involves even behaviors that you don't want to deal with. I'm not taking any more of your crap. You see how we use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just think about how
Yep.
we use it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that crap out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. It's stinky. Your behavior is smelly. It's stinky. What did Allah say about the Khalifa? He said that he was going to create one, and they accused Allah of making one who would make mischief
Mm-hmm.
and shed the blood. And blood is just something that once it's exposed to oxygen, you don't have to wait that long for it to show you how icky it can get. It'll become sticky, it'll become black instead of red.
Mm-hmm.
Blood. It become nasty because blood was intended to flow.
Mm-hmm.
So who is this Khalifa, this dude, who's being accused of possibly starting war in the connection we made earlier? Harb, that's the word for war. Harbun, harb. H, guttural.
Mm-hmm.
Hard C in crap, guttural.
Mm.
Harb, Harb.
Hmm. Then you got the B and the
Crap.
P.
Yeah, you got the R
Yeah.
in crap. And then you
Yeah.
got the P and the B that's right, that are interchangeable. So
Hmm.
crap and harb warfare are the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah, war's pretty ugly.
Yes.
Hmm.
As Glenda the witch said, I think it was a Glenda or who's that witch in the Wiz, the evil one, Eveline. She
Eveline and the
said she
Wiz.
said
Yeah.
war is hell.
Hmm.
And that's a
Yep.
fact. Right. So
Mm.
now, just to show you that all words are neutral until you apply a moral to them, or a value, as I like to say, until you apply a value. Crap is neutral. It mean anything.
Hmm.
I could take those same consonants and apply them to the word group.
Mm.
Show me the connections.
Yeah. The C and the G, both guttural, and the R
Mhm.
and yeah, and the P. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you what all of these words have in common. The idea that it is not representative of an individual.
Mm.
Remember, I said to you the other day, the last class, that there are people in the Ahmadiyya movement who believe in individual khalifas that appear from time to time in history.
Hmm.
Yeah. So they'll say in the 12th century we had a khalifa in Iran, or in the 15th century another khalifa appear. No,
Hmm.
khalifas never appear as individuals.
Hmm.
Always they are representative of groups.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
It's a singular word that represents a plural concept. Ask anybody who speaks good Arabic and knows what they're talking about. And ask them, say, is the word Khalifa, is that an individual or is that a group? If she or he knows what they're talking about as far as Arabic is concerned, they'll say that's one of the words in the Quran and in the Arabic language that although it is presented as an individual word, it is never representative of an individual. It is always a group.
Hmm.
The word Adam is like that. There are many words in the Quran like that. Adam is not an individual.
Hmm. You even said the same thing with Muhammad too, right?
Same thing.
Yeah.
None of the prophets in the Quran are individuals. They are all group types.
Hmm. Wow.
Musa, Muhammad, Ibrahim. Oh, Allah tells you about Ibrahim. He said, and Ibrahim indeed, Ibrahim was a group. He said he was a community. He tells it right in your face,
Wow.
he tells you. But the scholars changed it and they said, well, we're not going to say community, even though it says ummah. We're not going to say that. We're going to say Ibrahim was indeed a model. Really?
Hmm.
A model?
Yeah.
That's the
Mm.
best you could do?
Yeah. And then
You
like
mhm.
I I thought of the bit also when it mentioned like Allah like loving folks who follow like the example of Muhammad, and some people literally mean the actual example of the person, and some of them actually connect that to, oh, that means we should follow the hadiths. You see, it
Yeah,
says in the Quran, follow the hadiths.
yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not what the Quran said at all.
No, nowhere near that. No,
It did not
nowhere near
say
that.
follow Bukhari or any of them.
There was no Bukhari. He wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can it say that? No, it's not talking
Yeah.
about that. The main subject of the Quran is energy, frequency. and vibration, period.
Mhm.
That's its
Mhm.
main subjects. We're just
Mhm.
talking about different expressions of one thing. That one thing is given to us in the scholarly word Tawheed, and that's from Ahad, which is in the Quran. Tawheed is not in the Quran, but the word
Mhm.
Ahad and Wahid, those
Uh,
are words from the Quran that are talking about this undifferentiated, remember that word, undifferentiated oneness. That means that when you put it all
mm,
together, you won't be able to determine where the one is as separated from the other. It will all be one substance. That's
mm,
called undifferentiated. That's in science.
mm,
It's like the ether, the concept of the ether.
mhm.
It's all one thing. So when you
Hmm.
deduce it down to humans, you have to come to the conclusion, and it's a scientific conclusion, that all humans, no matter where they come from, are one. Conceptually, according to how Allah created creation, they're all out of one made from, Allah tells you, created them min nafsin wahida, from one substance
Hmm.
that they translate as soul.
Hmm.
Then he differentiates them
Mhm.
after telling you that they're all created min nafsin wahida.
Hmm.
Then zawjaha, halves.
Hmm.
Then from there, batha minhuma rijalan wa kathiran. From then the whole experience, the rijal and the nisa and all of these things start to kick in. But they're
Hmm.
from a place where it began as one. And Allah says, as it began, and it all has to return to that. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
Hmm.
Isn't that beautiful?
Hmm. Very.
Yeah. Allah
Yeah.
says we
Makes you
all we
really,
all are returning. All of us, he says, are returning to that original substance.
yeah, makes you really think about just how much unnecessary separation we create.
Tons and tons and tons of crap. We're buried under. We're buried under mounds and mounds of academic rat that has
Mhm.
kept us separated. See, if I give you the word carve, give me the consonantal breakdown
Oh,
for those
carve.
same three groups. Yeah, for those same three groups.
Yeah, so you got the C, R, and V.
Hmm.
Um,
And the C is a
yep,
hard
C.
K.
Hmm. Yeah,
Remind
so
us
you
of that.
got, yeah, yeah. So you got the guttural, you got the V again. Hmm. I know the V and the F are connected.
Interchangeable. Yeah, so they're both
Yeah,
labials.
I forget. Okay, all right, those labials too.
Yeah.
All right.
So you got the same three,
V.
you got the same
Yeah.
three groups.
Hmm.
The
All
guttural,
right.
the liquid, and the labial.
Hmm.
No matter which of these words I give you, you're going to still have those three groupings.
Hmm.
If I give you the word grab, you have the
Oh,
guttural G, G,
G, R,
the
B.
liquid
Hmm.
R in this case, and the
No,
labial
labial.
B.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? P and B are interchangeable, so it can be grap, which is a word. That's where they get grapple, like in wrestling,
Grapple.
right?
Hmm.
Or it can be grab. When you grab something and run, you have
Hmm.
separated it from the pile.
Hmm.
Look at the underlying meaning to these words. It means to separate from the whole.
Hmm.
When I carve my Thanksgiving turkey, carve,
Hmm.
I'm separating that leg from the whole turkey.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Hmm.
put my child in the crib, CRIB,
Mm-hmm.
I'm separating my child from the adults or from
Hmm.
whatever else is happening in the house.
Hmm.
When I put that child in the crib, when I form a group, GRP, as we mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I'm separating people from the larger society of people.
Mm-hmm.
We are our own group. We are the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad or whatever people are still saying. I don't want to be a part of any group like that anymore. Yeah, the Tawheed is set in now. I don't I don't need mommy's hand anymore. I'm what you are now. And my consultation will be with people who are thinking on the level of true human. That's all I need. I don't need a black leader anymore.
Hmm.
I don't need a Pakistani trust, big brother, black big brother trust. No, that's where we began to go wrong when we started mislabeling things according to these artificial categories. They're artificial because when you strip a human being down, is he really black? Is that
Mm-hmm.
what made him and her tick?
Hmm.
Because they were from your part of the earth? Another separation? Because they were from Africa? The word Africa means
Hmm.
separation from faraka, furqan, discrimination, separation.
Hmm.
It's
Definitely need to
deep.
do some homework there.
You got to. That's why I'm leaving it for you. You get back to me on that, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A calf, baby cow, which the Quran mentions,
Oh yeah.
CALF,
CL. Yeah, CL and F.
with
Yep.
the L not being pronounced. It's not calf,
Mm-hmm.
but they put it in there to let you know they're related. Calf.
Mm.
See? A baby cow. A cow that is born, that is not yet 2 years old, from birth up until the age two, he's a calf. He's not even a heifer.
Mm.
When he grows to be a heifer, he still has the same three divisions: guttural,
Hmm.
labial,
That's interesting. Wow.
liquid. They've just experienced metastasis, whatever the word I said was.
Mm-hmm.
Same. So they leave these hints and clues not because they want to, they have to. This is a part of Allah's design that He placed on the human tongue and in the human brain to have to make those connections so people in the future wouldn't have to work that hard to find them.
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't no big brain Yaqub scientists that developed language. It was Allah's fitrah. Allah said you cannot change or alter His fitrah.
Hmm.
That includes the fitrah for how we speak language.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
You can't speak outside of your triune brain,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't speak outside of the connections that Allah put in your tongue. No matter what language you speak, He put seven
Mm-hmm.
categories of pronunciation in your mouth.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're
Wow.
deep tonight,
Yeah, definitely.
right? So these have to do with separations. The word qarib means close.
Hmm.
Guttural, Q, ra, liquid, ra, labial,
Maybe.
ba,
And
bait, ba, qarib.
hmm.
And you usually keep things close to you that are young and unexperienced in things that need to be taught, need to be caressed. They're in
Mm-hmm.
uh, that safety circle
Mm-hmm.
thing when new things are born and they have to be kept safe, they have to be fed, clothed,
Mm-hmm.
sheltered, that kind of thing. So that's Qareeb. And Allah says that we are Qareeb in relation to Him in the same sentence where he says to have taqwa for the arham, for the wounds that bore you. He's
mm,
telling you the life I'm explaining to you right now is young, tender life that needs to be separated. This
mm,
life has to be separated from the womb. That's the first separation, or else the
mhm,
mother will die. Then, once
mm,
out of the womb, this life has to be separated from the knucklehead adults
mm,
and the irresponsible children that's in that house and that's outside of that house in the schoolyard and these other. I can't. I have
mhm,
to check on my child.
mm,
My child is he. Tarib means I have like a tether around his neck that I use to walk him around. I can't afford to close my eyes for 10 seconds on this one. You've seen parents
mm,
like that. They a little old, or the grandparents are
mhm,
watching them. They got a tether around their neck, like they walking a
mhm.
dog. But
Yeah.
some children need that. You turn your head to talk, that child will be running across the street if you're not holding his hand, right? Or he break
Mhm,
away from you and you're too weak. Your legs are weak. You can't run after that child.
mm,
Qarib. Even the word separate itself. Take the T out of it. It's just a suffix. Look at the
mm,
S, the P, and the R. The S interchanges with the G. A lot of people don't know that. It's a guttural. The S is not a guttural. The
mm,
G is a guttural, but the gutturals interchange with the sibilants, the whistling fricatives.
Okay.
That's why you can interchange the words circus. The sound of sir, that's an S. So why do they spell circus with a C?
Mm,
And then the second C is a K sound, but they still spell it with a K, with a C, circus,
mm,
because they know in linguistics you can get away with that. So the S in separate can also be a substitute for the guttural. So it would still be guttural, labial, liquid, sa, pa,
mm,
ra.
mm,
That's when you get into a deeper layer of that study, those consonants. You have to get
mm,
into a deeper layer, right? All right, so we're going to end on this next note.
mhm,
The first level that Allah has allowed the human brain to function upon is the level of awareness. Now, I'm introducing something new into the scientific community that if they study it, they'll appreciate it, because we interchange the words awareness and the word consciousness. You hear
mm,
scientists doing it all of the time. His level of consciousness, his level of awareness. No, awareness and
mhm,
consciousness are two different things.
mm,
How does Instructor Bilal know this? Because he studies his consonantal connections, and Allah showed it to me.
mm,
Joe Dispenza didn't show it to me. Bruce Lipton didn't show it to me.
mhm,
These other psychologists and psychiatrists, Dr. Young, and I didn't get the hint from them.
mhm,
And I've studied a lot of them, and none of them came to this conclusion. But it's a necessary conclusion for understanding yourself, that you, as an individual, and the animal and the insect and all life forms that represent that Tawheed essence we were talking about,
mhm,
they come into this world as an awareness, but not
mm,
as a consciousness.
mm,
Consciousness begins when your five basic senses as a human not just as a life form, as a human, because the animals don't have all of what we have to work with,
Hmm.
neocortex and all of that, and sophisticated neural system. They don't have all that. The amoeba doesn't have that. It just has basic things going on for his system, right? So we come into this life aware. Where all of that awareness comes from, I can't tell you. Does it begin at conception? I don't know. That's a study that we need to engage upon.
Hmm.
But I do know that the life as it exists within the belly of the mother, as it is growing and graduating in her system, it is only aware, never conscious.
Mm, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now,
Mm,
what does that mean? That it is only aware.
mm,
It means that it is in touch with creation, but on a cosmic level.
mm,
Imam Muhammad spoke a few times about cosmic consciousness.
mhm,
He was dealing with what life grows to become. However, I repeat that life in its first presentation is not conscious. This is why some people in the sciences have no problem with abortion.
mm,
See, no harm, no foul. That's how they see it. It's not
mhm,
really a living thing. That's how they explain it. What they don't
mhm,
understand is that awareness is also a living thing.
mm,
Life graduates, and awareness is also due a measure and a very high level of respect. We just don't understand the reason for it, why Allah created it like that.
mm,
Because all things are growing out of awareness. Now, what I'm about to say is going to be a little deep, so I'm going to take my time a little bit with it. Now, and I'm going to give it to you by way of the letter system, so pay attention.
mhm,
Whenever you have words in any language, oh boy, I didn't realize I had another webinar coming up. Okay, she's got four. We got 4 minutes.
mhm,
Alhamdulillah. Whenever you have the letters AR, like we have in aware,
mhm,
we know that that initial A can be turned into a consonant.
mm,
Like we say Aaron, when we speak about the prophet Moses' brother, we say
mhm,
Aaron, but they also say
mhm.
Harun.
Um,
Yeah,
mhm, yeah.
because if it's in the beginning of a word, it can be substituted for the consonant H at least.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be an A in negation that you talk about.
Not in this case.
No, in that
It
case. All
can't.
right.
In some cases, it can be, and even if it is, it still can be. It still can be a consonant. You're
Hmm.
still substituting an A. That is in this case. In this case of pronunciation, it's an H. So we won't get tied up in that. But that's the
Mhm,
difference between the beginning of a word, like Adam,
mhm.
and somewhere else in the word. On the most part, I'm talking about two separate phenomenons in language.
Okay.
The A that substitutes for the H, that's the one we're talking about right now. All
Hmm.
right. Now, when you have that substitution and it becomes an H, instead of AR, it becomes HR. You following me?
Mhm,
Right. So instead of Aaron, it becomes Harun,
mhm,
HR. Whenever you see HR, you're looking at something that has to begin the journey towards whatever it's after.
Hmm.
And it has to be the first one to reach that destination, meaning that first level of effort, first level of destination, first level of achievement.
Hmm.
In English, we have the word her for the female.
Hmm.
She has to be the first one to reach a particular level of pregnancy. It's not him, it's
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
Whenever we talk about people who are coming to save the day, the Lone Ranger, right?
The hero.
The hero, you got it.
Hmm.
Now, if somebody comes after him, he's not the hero, even if he saves people.
Hmm.
He's not the hero. That job is already done. You have to be the first one to do it.
Hmm. I thought of hair. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's in
Not
there.
sure about that one.
It's in there.
Hmm.
Just think about that alongside the word her.
Hmm. Oh yeah, there are different stages of growth, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah. Normally, when they look at babies being born, they expect the girl to have hair.
Hmm.
If the boy is bald headed, so big deal. But nobody wants to take home a bald headed girl. The women won't tell you that. I've heard them talking, private talks. Oh, I'm so glad she had a head full of hair when she came out. So we assign these artificial values to things, like I said earlier. Um, Lastly, if I hire you,
Hmm.
you were the first. I put a wanted ad out, and you call, and so
Hmm.
you met all the qualifications. Well, you got the job. You were the first one. If the other ones weren't
Hmm.
qualified, they're not going to be the first one. The first to do what? For me to say no to?
Hmm.
I'm hiring you. If I'm hearing you, if I go to court for a hearing, that's my
Hmm.
first presentation or appearance before the judge. You don't
Hmm.
get the hearing last. You get the hearing first so they can hear what your plea is and what your charges are. This is
Hmm.
beautiful, man. All
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Suffice it to say that there's lots more to go along with this, but I don't want to keep my
Yeah.
second student up in the air.
I
And
understand. Yeah.
air is
My mind was
also,
thinking of others.
well, air, here's your last one. Air is also HEIR,
Hmm.
the inheritor.
Hmm.
Inherit, hero,
Hmm.
inherit. She's the one, or he's the one as an inheritor. That's the first one that you're supposed to distribute the wealth to if your
Hmm.
mama dies, or or the boss or whoever said you got the inheritance. They're not supposed to go looking for other people in the company. They're supposed to come to you. Oh, you inherited the wealth of whoever.
Hmm.
You got it. So I gave you enough to work with. I'm sure you're gonna come back to me with some serious words.
Hmm.
All right. So let's end there.
Hmm.
And inshallah, we're gonna have to have a part three. Maybe not the same title, but the
Hmm.
same field, the rich field of opportunity when it comes to language.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. I'll see you
Mhm.
then.
All right, definitely. All right.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum salam.